You're watching the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive Game of the Week.
The best non-conference game of the year is right here.
Michigan State is coming into this game with a major chip on their shoulder.
Hands to Jeremy Langford.
There he goes, there he goes.
Touchdown, MSU. Up throws.
There it is.
Great grab. The Spartans take the lead.
Pressure comes, gets away from it for a moment. Mariota with a circus play.
There he goes. How about Dylan Allen? Keenan Lowe untouched, and Oregon is back on top. Freeman touchdown, Oregon. Puts a statement on it.
The beauty, I think, of playing football, when you get knocked down, you have an opportunity to get back up.
It's not over. It'll never be over here. It's just starting.
Michigan State did get back up and we're just about set to tee it up here in East Lansing. It is a beautiful night for football. Temperature in the mid-50s. Had an afternoon with a lot of mist, a little bit of rain, but it cleared away about an hour and a half ago or so. And now Mark Helfrich and the Ducks going on the road. They'll get the ball first. Spartans won the toss, deferred in the second half. There is Mark D'Antonio, head coach of the Spartans. Kevin Cronin getting set to put toe to leather for Michigan State. And Byron Marshall, the standout receiver, one of the men deep for the Ducks. Underway, and Marshall will take a knee in the end zone. Ducks get it on the 25 as we say hello to Heather Cox.
Hello, Reese. Everyone has been worried about that hard hit that knocked Vernon Adams out of the game, but the big issue is that hurt finger that Kirk talked about. It's the knuckle on his index finger. It was splinted immediately after the game. He's had treatment all week. Now it's heavily taped under those gloves he's wearing for the first time, and in warm-ups he was throwing with velocity, but he was fiddling with that finger a lot. He was flexing it, shaking it, testing it. And before the game, Mark Helfrich told me Vernon took first rep snaps all week, and Vernon's injury will not change tonight's game plan, Reese.
And Heather, Vernon Adams had a terrific debut for Oregon against Eastern Washington. Threw for a couple of touchdowns, 246 yards in his first snap, and they'll give it to Freeman, and Royce Freeman gets knocked down a very short game.
I think it's important for Scott Frost as a play caller to just settle his offense and most especially his quarterback into this game. He's got a lot of weapons around him. He told me on the field before the game, I'm not really worried about his personality and how he'll react to this atmosphere.
Adams' first pass is complete. Got it out to Charles Nelson. Nelson, who didn't play last week, had a lower body injury, but that lower body appears to be quick.
And this is what Oregon will do tonight. They did it last year. Michigan State plays a lot of man, so sometimes you don't go to the outside receivers. You look for the quicker receivers on the inside.
Pickup of 19. Now back to the ground, and tough goal in the middle. Freeman's carried it a couple of times and maybe has 2 yards.
You know, that previous play to Charles Nelson, number one, it's great to see him back and healthy and contributing. He missed that first week of the season. But the plays come in fast. We'll talk about that throughout the game. But Charles Nelson at the H, Byron Marshall, with soft coverage, they'll get the ball out to them in a hurry, and they can make people miss.
This play might be a good one. It had Marcus Mariota's picture on the play card.
I like that.
Adams getting rushed, and he just tosses it out of bounds. 3rd and 9 coming for the Ducks, and this is where you have your best chance against Oregon if you can get them in long situations.
Right here, the defensive end does a great job of just sniffing that out, Reese. It was trying to get the ball out. Again, an easy throw, a little screen off to the right. Picked up early there by Shalik Calhoun. That play never had a chance.
And to the point, Oregon deadly 3rd and short. Not quite as proficient on 3rd and long. Adams, nice grab out of the backfield, and Freeman will have the first down. So Oregon executes very well in good sticky hands from Royce Freeman.
You dump it off to your back, and now they're really going to go tempo. But he's got almost a convoy of 3 blockers in front of him. A big tight end in Bayless and 2 receivers did a good job with the perimeter blocking.
Pac-12 Offensive Freshman of the Year last year. He has it again. He's running through Spartans and driving inside the 40. A pickup of 7 or 8 on first down.
And Royce Freeman last year had a great freshman year. He looked stronger to me watching him last week, and it was only Eastern Washington. But as a sophomore, expect even bigger things from him in this offense.
We almost had a mishap with the official trying to get out away from the snap to allow the substitutions. It'll be 3rd and short.
Hey, you better get out of the way when Oregon's snapping on offense. You don't have a lot of time. The official, you better, come on now, big fella. Come on. It's going to be a long night. They're looking to snap this football.
This is a Pac-12 crew on the field. You know, you've got to get in there and have the quick feet, do the plyometrics in the offseason. Be ready. Another 3rd down opportunity for Vernon Adams. Flags fly. And I want you to notice, too, Kirk, as you heard the whistles and the flag, it looks as if there's going to be a false start.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 62 on the offense. 5-yard penalty, makes 3rd down.
Penalty called on Pearson, but lined up to the near side on that last play was Devin Allen. You see him getting ripped. Devin Allen, who hurt his knee on the kickoff return against Florida State in the Rose Bowl.
Down at the bottom of the screen here.
So you have Nelson back. You have Allen making his first appearance this year as well. Adams escapes a little trouble, throws it to the outside, and there's Nelson again making a grab. 1st down, Ducks.
And right here, he took a little peek quickly to his left, and in fact looked at Devin Allen, came off of him in a hurry, and there's the athletic ability, but instead of just taking off and running, he gets out of the pocket, buys a little bit of time, and then makes the throw to pick up another 1st down.
Adams being chased. Gets away from one. Now Adams firing toward the end zone, just out of the outstretched arms of Braylon Addison.
It's incredible to me. You cannot say this enough. What this quarterback has been through with Vernon Adams, coming in only number 1 to replace Marcus Mariota, who had such a prolific career in Eugene. He's been on campus for 3.5 or 4 weeks to learn that. All these cards, the tempo, the speed, and he's in it running this offense in East Lansing against one of the best defenses in the country.
Running back is Kenai Benoit. Nelson gets it out in the flat. He's got a couple of blockers. Nelson spins his way down close to the 20-yard line. Another good pickup for Charles Nelson, stopped by Darian Harris.
How much did they miss Charles Nelson? You know, to see him back, 3 catches on his opening drive for 42 yards. And I love the blocking out in front, a staple of this offense.
3 receivers top of the screen. They'll keep it on the ground. Freeman, big hole, burst inside the 10 and down inside the 5. 1st and goal coming for Oregon.
I've been saying it for years. In this offense, you get so caught up in the tempo, and they're throwing it out to the perimeter, to the left, to the right, and then you get lulled to sleep, and they rip up the middle with Freeman.
Michigan State was scrambling to get lined up. Vernon Adams keeps it. Picks up 2, maybe 3. It'll be 2nd and goal.
Mark D'Antonio told us they felt comfortable, more comfortable this year with their substitution pattern. It's always important to substitute against the Oregon tempo. They felt last year in Eugene, it caught up to them in the 2nd half, and then against Baylor in their bowl game, they made adjustments, and they wanted to carry that over into their preparation for this game.
Freeman finds his way nicely into the end zone, and the Ducks are on the board.
So you got a new quarterback, you're on the road, you're Oregon, where the expectations are always high, you're in a hostile environment, you travel all the way across the country, and what does this rookie quarterback do? Opening drive, 13 plays, 75 yards, touchdown, 6-0, about to be 7-0 on the road.
Aiden Schneider's on for the extra point. I'm sorry, did you think Vernon Adams was nervous?
He looked terrified to me.
Apparently not. Now Oregon,
here we go.
Oregon does this a lot. They count the numbers.
All right, bring him in.
And now, okay, no advantage.
Yeah, I thought Vernon was. He showed some nerves.
Tight,
he showed some nerves there.
Hey, look, you're talking about a guy who threw for more than 100 touchdowns and 10,000 yards. I know it was at the FCS level. But Adams has piloted this offense very well, and when you've got that guy 21, it doesn't hurt either.
How about the balance also? I talked about there being 13 plays, 7 of them on the ground, 6 through the air. They spread it around. They gave a lot of different looks and made it tough on Michigan State on that opening drive.
And now Connor Cook awaits his turn. 7-0 our score. Oregon took its opening drive, went 75 yards. They didn't have one of those patented 2-minute drives that they typically put out. Nearly half of their touchdown drives last year came that quickly. This one a little under 4 minutes, but it was the height of efficiency. Vernon Adams converting twice on 3rd down, and Charles Nelson with 3 catches, 42 yards, all of them resulting in 1st down. So now Oregon will kick it off. Matt Wogan, the kickoff specialist for the Ducks. And deep into the end zone and being encouraged to stay put is R.J. Shelton. So now Michigan State will start on the 25. What about that duck drop?
Chip Kelly's got to be sitting in Philadelphia really happy watching this. This is exactly the way he would draw it up. You get the ball to the outside as quick as you can. You get the tempo going. There's a scramble on 3rd down. They find Nelson to keep that drive alive. And then the big fella, Royce Freeman, gets across the goal line and into the end zone to finish off that 13-play drive and a touchdown for the Ducks. Exactly the way they wanted to start this game on the road in this environment.
And I think Vernon's knuckles okay too, apparently.
Yeah.
Connor Cook at quarterback for Michigan State. Spartans will keep it on the ground. Madre London racing into Duck territory, running over an Oregon defender, and that's a quick strike way to start. And the Spartans answer by immediately going into the red zone. Chris Cisse saved the touchdown.
But Dave Warner's got to be proud. You work all week to come up with your favorite plays. Look at this. I mean, Brian Allen, the left guard, had no one to block. That play opened up so well. The left guard had nobody to pick up. And I'll tell you, we want to know about London and the speed. I'll give you an idea right there. He hit that crease in a hurry and picked up huge yards.
He had 59 yards in the last game against Western Michigan. 62 on that carry. Worked well once. Go back to him, but this time the Ducks stop him for virtually no game. Kristen French with the stop.
And as much as we talk about Connor Cook and the experience, at the end of the day, it's still Michigan State. And Michigan State is about an offensive line and running the football. They've had a great legacy here for a long time. But the problem is they've lost Jeremy Langford, and right now Mondre London kind of leads a committee of backs to be able to step up and fill the void. But they need to run the ball tonight against Oregon.
London taking a break, so they're sending freshman L.J. Scott in, 7th-ranked running back in the country, according to ESPN. Connor Cook, play fake to the end zone. You know who he's got. Josiah Price, touchdown Spartans.
He does a great job at the line of scrimmage of getting off of the defensive end, the outside linebacker who's trying to get his hand right there. He uses his hands to get around French, and then it's just a mismatch. He runs away from the defender, the corner who's trying to stay with him, Tyree Robinson, and a perfectly thrown ball by the quarterback, Connor Cook. And that's what we call an answer, right? That was pretty quick.
How about the role reversal here? Both teams go 75 yards for a score. The Ducks take 13 plays. Michigan State takes 3. Old Sparty's got it locked up at 7.
Saturday Night Football, presented by Wells Fargo. On your phone, online, on the go. Wells Fargo makes it easy to get banking done. Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy. And Michelin, a better way forward.
Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned, making tires that go the distance, inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven, the official aerial provider of Saturday Night Football. The official aerial provider of Michigan State football is Connor Cook. Just spun out his 50th career touchdown pass. Hit Josiah Price. We were talking to Connor yesterday. Red zone, why would you not throw to Josiah Price every time, it seemed? Look at the contrast in the 2 drives.
Very, very different from what we've seen in the past. Although Michigan State, team that used to win with defense and special teams and field position last year, became a different team with their ability to score points.
Byron Marshall is chased back into the end zone, and this time he'll bring it out. Marshall looking for a little crease. Now he breaks it back, and he's got room. He's got room and some help on the outside. Marshall just couldn't quite turn the corner to take it to the house, but a terrific return by Byron Marshall.
And that's when you play Oregon, you have to be concerned not just with defending them on defense, but on special teams because of guys like this. They get their football in their hands. A great block there by the big tight end, Evan Bayless. And then that's just athletic ability and vision. You can remember, he's a former running back, ran for over 1,000 yards 2 years ago, 1,000 yards receiving last year. He knows what to do with the football when it gets into his hands. And that time he found a crease to the backside, almost got to the corner, and took it all the way to the house.
Well, Kirk, he's the only guy in Pac-12 history to finish a season with 1,000 yards rushing, and then the next one with 1,000 receiving. Charles Nelson appears to be on his way, maybe not to 1,000, but on his way to 100 with his catches tonight.
There is a theme that has been established here by Oregon, and that is the perimeter blocking. The Michigan State secondary is not getting off of these blocks from these wide receivers. That's why there's so much room to run.
Freeman kicking and pushing his way until Joel Heath knocks him down after a pickup of a couple.
And one of the most challenging things in defending tempo and spread, and especially with the way Oregon does it, is you've got to deal with the horizontal stretch of the formations and how they continue to get the ball outside, and then the way they can still hit a crease and get vertical in a hurry.
Adams left it, and the ball's on the ground. Freeman put it down, and Oregon was able to jump on it. But a big loss. Joel Heath, who made the last tackle, knocked that one loose, but I believe it was the Notre Dame transfer, Matt Haggerty, who jumped on the ball for Oregon.
And that's the answer as far as if you're Michigan State. How do you stop them? Go to the left, they go to the right, they rip it up the middle, you get penetration. You win it against the offensive lineman, and you get penetration.
Vernon Adams needs 18. He's going to get nothing in like it. Michigan State's defense rising up. Shalik Calhoun was the guy.
See, that's where you wonder how he's going to respond. They rush 3, they drop 8. He's looking at his primary. Right away, he sees nothing but green jerseys, nowhere to go with the ball, and he's got to eat it. But Michigan State on 3rd down, if they can get Oregon to 3rd and 7 plus, obviously a huge advantage, and especially against a quarterback that's only been on the campus for 4 weeks.
Oregon fans, I would like to introduce you to Ian Wheeler. You haven't seen him this year because this is his first punt of the year. And it was not necessarily a very good one.
After that great introduction.
Yeah. Ian hasn't had a lot of practice.
No.
He'll need better ones than that. Sparty, good field position. Just a couple of moments ago, Michigan State Athletic Director Mark Hollis given the John L. Toner Award from the National Football Foundation, and our good friend Steve Hatchell, who's there with Mark Hollis. It's presented annually to the athletic director who has demonstrated outstanding dedication to college athletics, particularly to college football. And boy, Mark and his entire staff been great hosts for us at College Game Day this weekend and for the game tonight. And the stability that he's given in the administration is one of the reasons that Mark D'Antonio credits for his ability to build such a stable program here as Michigan State has the ball back and spreading it out all over the place. Quick pass out from Connor Cook, R.J. Shelton, and no room for him to run as Reggie Daniels stops him.
Let's take a look at tonight's Chick-fil-A impact players. And Michigan State has the football. Aaron Burbridge on the outside. Tony Lippett is no longer here. They need a go-to guy, and number 16 has got to be able to step up. We talked about Mondre London. We already saw a big run from him because of the physicality. And then for Oregon, DeForest Buckner, 44, has got to hold his own. And how about Tyree Robinson, number 3? He's a safety who's going to be playing some corner tonight as well.
2nd down and 10. Cook. Quick pass out to the aforementioned Burbridge, who makes the grab. He had over 100 yards receiving in the Spartans opener.
And the reason he's got such a big role now in this offense, and he's an experienced guy, he's been around, he's a senior, but his role changes because now the X-receiver, which is the receiver to the, more often than not, into the boundary, gets all or a majority of the looks from Connor Cook. And then Connor's going to spread it around. But Tony Lippett last year, if you look at his numbers playing that same position, had a ton of catches.
Now Connor Cook will try to convert this 3rd down. Cook fires it into a tight window and unable to hang on out there. Joe Walker knocked it away and broke it up, and Michigan State will have to punt.
After some explosive plays from both sides in that first possession, Mark D'Antonio and even the Oregon defense, both sides kind of settling into the game maybe a little bit more.
Now Jake Hartbarger comes on to punt deep. To return it for Oregon is Braylon Addison. Addison standing at his own 25. Hartbarger hits away a better punt than Wheeler did for Oregon. They're trying to flip the field with a kicking game, and excellent coverage on Addison. Down there to make the stop is R.J. Shelton, the receiver playing on special teams. Terrific hang time, 4.86 seconds, and a great boot. Good flip of the field for Michigan State. Monday night, ESPN brings you double the football. Tirico and Gruden start their season with former Oregon coach Chip Kelly. The Eagles taking on the Falcons, and then at 10:15 Eastern time, it'll be the Vikings and the 49ers. Adrian Peterson and company going up against San Francisco. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 5 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Well, it feels good to have all kinds of football back, huh?
Sure does.
College last weekend, now the NFL's going full bore too. Back to the ground with Royce Freeman. He's hit right at the line of scrimmage, but he was second in the country in yards after contact last week, and he picked up a couple after getting hit there.
One thing that Oregon's always concerned about when they play a team with physicality up front and athletic ability is being able to hold up front. Their scheme and their tempo can be an equalizer, but if it's not, the matchup up front definitely favors Michigan State's defensive line.
Freeman gets out in the flat and empties, and Adams throws it, almost had that thing picked off. R.J. Williamson almost picked that thing off the turf.
We just talked about the defensive line for Michigan State. Look at the push. Malik McDowell from the right coming in right into the face of the quarterback, Vernon Adams. And remember, Malik McDowell is 6'6". Lawrence Thomas 6'4". Calhoun 6'5". Heath 6'6". And Adams is 5'9" or 5'10". So they want to corral him and get a push, really have an impact and affect his vision looking downfield.
Michigan State is rotating defensive lineman. Adams gets away from a sure sack, but he doesn't get away the second time. Staying after it was Chris Fry, and he also got a little help there from Demetrius Cooper. Good defensive play from Michigan State will force the Ducks to punt it.
You know, they showed blitz. He's going to come in from the left. They showed blitz, and then they disguised it, and they only brought 4, and they confused the offensive line in a great effort of not giving up, because as you said, Fry missed him initially, but got up and came back to get the pressure.
Didn't that initial escape remind you of the Mariota play last year on 3rd down?
Yeah, turning point of the game.
But the result did not change, and another short punt from Wheeler, and a bad bounce for the Ducks as it goes inside the 40. We'll show you where the Spartans stopped, but first we check in with Cassidy Hubbard.
Thanks, Reese. Taco Bell studio update. Number 4 Baylor hosting FCS opponent Lamar. Cade Harrington in with the TD run to give the Cardinals a 14-13 lead. It's been a crazy day. Why not continue into the night? Reese, Herbie, back to you.
Okay, I need to know what's going on now. Lamar has the lead on Baylor. Jacksonville State pushed Auburn to the brink. Toledo beat Arkansas. Oregon can't punt it. Second straight 25-yard punt. And now back to the ground for Michigan State. And Madre London is greeted in the backfield. He'll lose 1 or 2.
It's always football is a game of adjustments, and after such a big start from both these teams, you know, they go back to the grease board and they make some adjustments. We got a player down, Cody Keeler, the right tackle from Michigan State, and right away there's a lot of frustration and emotion.
This offensive line has been a renowned group, a veteran group. Keeler, a junior from Rockwood, Michigan.
You look across the board at Conklin and Allen, brothers, by the way, with Brian and Jack Allen. Jack Allen is kind of the leader up front, and Donovan Clark, the coaches tell us, had maybe his best game of his career last week and how physical he was. And Cody Keeler, who's being helped off the field right now.
He's not putting much weight, if any, at all on that right leg as he's helped to the Michigan State sideline. Checking in for him at right tackle is Miguel Machado. He's a 298-pound junior from Miami.
You talked about the field being flipped and how important that is, kind of the game within the game. Michigan State needs to capitalize on this opportunity after the punt, the punts from both teams. They're in plus territory. They've got to try to get points.
Cook firing it complete. Burbridge has it. He's inside the 25, and he'll have enough for the first down. Arian Springs on the stop. Boy, just a quick flip.
Well, and when you have 28 games of experience in college football, it's about the knowledge and your ability to process the coverage and the information. Here, this coverage is going to go out here. It clears it up right in the middle, but it just, he has an ability when he gets out of the huddle. He kind of has an idea of what he wants to do with the football just based on recognizing the coverage. So when he gets back there, he's ready to get the ball out of his hands.
London, big crease up the middle. Madre London rolling inside the 15. First down, Michigan State.
Well, that left side of the offensive line opening some things up. And again, this is something that Oregon's going to look at. Look at 66, the center. He's trying to find somebody to block. It's the second time we've seen them crease Oregon on that left side. One time it was the left guard, Brian Allen. This time it's the center, Jack Allen, who's trying to wait for somebody to come into his area with nobody to block. So they're using formations to open up some running lanes, and most notably on that left side.
London tried to pick his way, but Oregon there to stop him that time.
When you see plays rip for 15 or 20 or 30 or the longer one from London earlier, and you see offensive linemen on that side with nobody to block, you've got to give the offensive coordinator, Dave Warner, and his staff some credit for doing a lot of research in the offseason, looking at different formations. Hey, when we get into this formation, they're going to give us this front. They're going to favor their defensive linemen this way. And through all that research, they've come up with a few wrinkles. It seems simple, but pretty complicated based on the formations to open up those running lanes.
When you go left, too, you get to go behind big Jack Conklin.
Yeah.
But it's been the middle guys who've created some space. Right up the gut is London. He gets inside the 10 before he was hit by Tyree Robinson. Not quite enough for the first down.
You just talked about Conklin. I think maybe his best friend is Paul Lang, the tight end who comes in. He just likes to get physical and just blow people up. Watch this right here as he opens up that left side. He just eliminates the defensive end. He didn't even know what hit him. DeForest Buckner got hit by a truck, and it was Paul Lang, the senior from Pittsburgh.
Now a third down and 4. Tight quarters inside the red zone and inside the 10-yard line. Michigan State has put Damian Terry in at quarterback. He's a good running threat, but Oregon is ready for it. They sniff it out, and Tyson Coleman knocks down the sophomore dual threat quarterback as Spartans tried to get a little tricky there.
They get a little bit tricky, but this guy right here, Coleman, he sees this in practice all the time. So he gets off of his block, not worried much about the tight end, and then out in space against the athletic Terry is able to make that play. They tried, as you said, every once in a while, Michigan State will try to slip something in and catch you off guard. Oregon doing their own homework in the offseason. Good job of being prepared, and a nice job in the open field by Coleman.
Michael Geiger trying to put the Spartans on top. Short field goal up on the way, and it is no good. From 28 yards out, Helfrich's defense coming up with a play on third down and then having it pay off with the blown chip shot field goal.
And when you're on the road, you need things like this, right? You need to have things go your way. This is something that typically you're not going to see. I mean, Geiger's going to make that, and I think Oregon catches a break. You talked about the sequence of punts, the way the field was flipped. Big opportunity for Michigan State. Not only do they not come up with a touchdown, but with Geiger missing that field goal, Oregon gets the ball back at the 20 now with some room to operate.
We've had a little shakiness in the special teams game. Some really short punts from Oregon and the missed field goal from Michigan State. Oregon's had a couple of punts at 25 yards, the first 2 punts of the season. Now Vernon Adams goes back to work with a minute and a half, just over that, left to go in the first quarter. To the ground, Royce Freeman picked up a little over 2.
Last couple series for Oregon, even though they started great with that opening drive of 13 plays, the last couple up front, Michigan State starting to get traction. This is where you got to get the ball out on the edge again and throw those quick passes to those receivers.
Adams instead taking a shot, getting his man out there, and it's intercepted. Fought away and stripped away by Monte Nicholson. Nicholson with a tremendous individual play to just take the ball away from Charles Nelson.
Everybody that plays against Michigan State in this press quarters coverage says you got to attack the inside coverage, man-to-man from the safeties. Nelson gets behind him, but the ball's underthrown. You can see he's lost at that point. He just happens to turn and just pull the ball away from Charles Nelson because the ball was not thrown in front. Great athletic play by Nicholson, but he caught a break by the football being underthrown. And that's the spot that Oregon's got to be able to capitalize. Man-to-man, a wide receiver against a safety in coverage.
Nicholson was a guy, Kirk, who said he wanted to reinstitute the no-fly zone of Darqueze Dennard and Trey Waynes. He lived up to it by making the pick. And a terrific play to set up Michigan State. Great field position at the Oregon 30. Now Connor Cook going to strike, fires it into traffic and too high and incomplete. Second down and 10 as we check in with Heather Cox.
Reese, as the Spartans get the ball back, they'll do it without one of their top O-linemen. A lot of emotion on the trainer's table as Sally Noble, the head athletic trainer, told Cody Keeler he would not return to the game with a right knee injury. So one of the best O-lines loses a little depth tonight, Reese.
All right, Heather, and you could see the frustration from Keeler when he came off the field after suffering that injury. Machado's now in at right tackle for him. Cook gets it out to Shelton quickly. Shelton trying to make some moves, but too many white jerseys. Reggie Daniels was the first one there. Joe Walker helped him out.
It'll be interesting throughout this entire year to see how Oregon plays on the back end. A lot of people made a lot of noise this week about, geez, what's going on with this Oregon secondary? 438 yards passing allowed, 42 points, 5 touchdown passes against Eastern Washington. What are they going to do when they play against a team like Michigan State and Connor Cook? It's a different energy from him. You can just tell. It's an FCS team. This is a big-time game. They're playing with a different kind of focus.
And here's a big opportunity for a stop for the Oregon defense after that turnover. Third down. Cook getting pressure underneath. McGarrett Kings slips away from one duck, and Kings gets down close to the first down. Let's see where they mark him. They had him short of the first down, did Joe Walker, but now it looks as if they're going to mark him about a yard short as the first quarter comes to a close. Mark D'Antonio might not be pleased with the spot in the first play of the second quarter, assuming the spot stands. Might give us a decision for D'Antonio to make. Then again, after that last field goal attempt, maybe there's no decision at all.
He's been a little bit more aggressive with experienced quarterback last year, and I'm sure that'll carry over this year.
It has been an action-packed first 15 minutes. The end of the first quarter here in East Lansing. We'll be back after this message and a word from your local ABC station. Welcome back to Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Wells Fargo. East Lansing, Michigan, as we get set to start the second quarter with Michigan State facing a 4th and 1 against Oregon. Locked up at 7. Reese Davis, Kirk Herbstreit, and Heather Cox, and no decision at all here. D'Antonio's going to go for it on 4th and 1. Pushing ahead. Connor Cook on the keeper, and he'll have the first down.
You know, when you have a 3-year starting quarterback and 4 returning offensive linemen, you know, you'd like to think Connor Cook's going to put you in a safe position to be able to execute there on 4th down, whether it's a sneak or even maybe calling a different play based on the defensive line's formation.
Connor Cook, you saw that gaudy record, 24-3. He's tied for the most wins among starting quarterbacks, active starting quarterbacks. Kevin Hogan of Stanford also with 24 victories. Cook owns a victory over Hogan in the Rose Bowl, and also a Big Ten championship as the freshman L.J. Scott looks for room. He's knocked down after a pickup of a couple. Connor Cook led the Big Ten in passing last year, throwing for more than 3,200 yards. He was second in touchdowns in the conference with 24. Wanted to emphasize footwork in the offseason. That record has been terrific. Not only the Rose Bowl victory in the Big Ten Championship I mentioned, but a great comeback in the Cotton Bowl against Baylor, rallying the Spartans from 20 points down to beat the Bears by 1. And now trying to put Michigan State on top of Oregon. Second down and 8. Cook throwing over the middle. Got his man. First down and touchdown, Aaron Burbridge. A 17-yard strike. Now we'll take another look and see if he got in before he went down. They signaled touchdown and gave it to him. Burbridge stretching. Touchdown.
Yeah, his knee never touched, and Reggie Daniels with a missed tackle there. He has a chance to stop him at about the 3 or 4 yard line, but his momentum and speed, he ran right through the tackle of Daniels and into the end zone. But great patience from Connor Cook that time to wait for his man to get into a position where he was clear in his passing lane. Put it right on the money.
That touchdown was set up by the turnover, the second interception by Monte Nicholson of his career.
See right here, he waits for him to be clear. The linebackers blitz, so it opened up the middle. We talked about Burbridge, how he's got to be able to step up and become the guy without limping. He's starting to really, I think, get into a rhythm here early in this game, and the Spartans offense with their second touchdown.
And M&M's home state, Saturday Night Football here in East Lansing. 14-7 our score as we continue with the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive game of the week. And it has been a phenomenal performance by the offenses, particularly Michigan State's. An early drive and taking advantage of a turnover with second touchdown pass of the night for Connor Cook. Oregon has already allowed 7 touchdown passes this season. Kickoff is going to go very short. Ball's loose. Somebody better jump on that thing. And the ball is still loose, and Michigan State had an opportunity to grab it. And Oregon averted disaster thanks to Christian French, ordinarily a pass rusher, and that time using the good hands. ESPN College Football stream every game live at home or on the go. Just download the Watch ESPN app or visit watchespn.com. We had that baby rolling in the bus to go with the monitors today to keep up with all the games.
There's some crazy stuff, even though it seemed like a quiet window. There's some stuff going on.
That's when they get you.
Exactly.
Nothing's going to happen today.
And next thing you know, Jacksonville State's up on Auburn. What happened?
Find that game on the Watch app. Vernon Adams right through the hands of Charles Nelson, and after an impressive drive early, Oregon's been slowed down lately.
That's what I would do. I think right now, you see that first drive, they got the ball out on the edge a lot, and Charles Nelson had a lot of plays since then. They've tried to do it, but I don't think enough. And you're starting to see Michigan State moving around, see the stemming and the moving, starting to create some confusion up front.
We'll try it again. This time Nelson sure-handed. Nelson's explosive. He is just about first down yardage. Monte Nicholson gave him a shove just as he got close to the marker, and they're going to spot it right on the chains, and they'll move him for a first down.
You know, those last 3 drives, I think if you go back and look at it, you'll see that Michigan State's defensive line really asserted themselves, and I think we said it last drive. The answer is getting the ball out to the edge to Nelson and others and let those receivers block and pick up quick yards. Then you can go back to the inside running game of Freeman.
Nelson now coming in motion. Royce Freeman, one man to beat. He slips inside him, and a sure tackle hanging on Viante Copeland. The freshman defensive back stops him after 17. There's Scott Frost.
And I think that's what Scott's looking at right now is how can we, because with this offense, even though they've been stopped 3 in a row, it's still, it's like a fuse. It can go any moment, and it's just a play or two that can spark it.
Adams pumps. Now flips it out, a little attachment play. Nelson has it again. He steps through a couple of Spartans and gets inside the 45. Another first down for the Ducks.
Remember when LaMichael James was in this offense, and even though he wasn't a receiver, but every time he touched the ball, you just kind of held your breath because they found little creases and little ways to be able to get him the football. That's what Nelson reminds me of. And the other receivers are all very talented, but he's got a different gear when the football's in his hands.
to a wide open Braylon Addison. Addison spins away from a tackler. He's inside the 20 and dragged down finally, but it'll be 1st and 10 for the Ducks.
Soft coverage, and Oregon takes advantage of it. Look how soft his coverage is right here. Man-to-man coverage. And then you've got a great effort by Byron Marshall downfield picking up a block.
And just after we send the Ducks an unproductive series, they're right back to moving it. Finding the big tight end, Evan Bayless, and Bayless rumbles down. He'll be marked out of bounds just about the 3-yard line. 1st and goal for the Ducks.
And another play. Michigan State, they even though it's dangerous, you need to tighten up coverage on the inside and on the outside receivers because you're making the throws too easy for Vern Adams on the outside.
Couple of tight ends now, Bayless and Johnny Munt. And a little size to block. Adams going to keep it on the run, trying to beat a couple of Spartans to the corner. Adams reaching and stretching, and he's going to be stopped just short. Jermaine Edmondson on the tackle.
He's different. He's not Marcus Mariota, but I love his toughness right here and his determination. He's not going to run away from you, but he's going to give you a little bit of a stiff arm, and then he's going to fight to try to get to that goal line. Great effort by 3.
Boy, that stretch almost got it in and put it right on the doorstep. I don't think he got a great spot as a result. And now they're calling it a false start penalty.
False start. Offense number 83. 5-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
The tight end moved when the left guard, Pearson, made a call. A lot of these offenses that go tempo and on the road, they'll look back and the guard kind of looks for the quarterback to say when he's ready, not the center. And when the guard, he must have yelled something, his own tight end twitched. And that was the call that they ended up making for the penalty.
Now they back him up 5, 2nd down and goal. Adams pulls it down. He's got a crease, but a great tackle right at the goal line, and Vernon is stopped. Riley Bullen just sort of appeared from the crowd and almost jackknifed Vernon Adams.
Boy, how about Riley Bullen? You're right. That looked like that was a touchdown. It was a great call, executed perfectly. And 30, Bullen gets off of the blocker. He had to deal with an offensive lineman, the center Haggerty, gets off of him and makes the play.
Now Freeman tries to go over the top, and he is denied. It'll be 4th and goal. Vernon Adams wants to go quickly here to see if tempo can get him in. Freeman, boy, that was some good penetration. That was Joel Heath down to the bottom of that mess again for Michigan State.
And Riley Bullen again making a play to kind of clean it up. Last 2 plays, middle linebacker, active.
And we've had a little bit of everything in the first quarter plus, and now we've got a chance for a 4th and goal stand for Michigan State or a punch in from the Ducks.
Dino's all the way out on the field trying to get the timeout. Mark D'Antonio.
Got the timeout called just in time. There's a little intensity. This is what you want in a top 10 matchup.
Yeah. Well, this is the games that fans enjoy, and more importantly, the coaches like to coach on them, and the players love to play in them.
4th and goal when you come back.
Saturday Night Football, presented by Wells Fargo. Brought to you by Buick, proud partner of the NCAA. Chick-fil-A, we didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. And Xerox, work can work better with Xerox.
Oregon with a 4th and goal at the Michigan State 1. What play are you running?
Well, for years in this situation, we've seen the quarterback run game be a big factor where you fake zone read to Freeman, to left or to the right, and then the quarterback usually would come the other way. Adams is a tough runner. Let's see if they go that route.
Boyce Freeman in the backfield with Adams. Vernon sending Marshall in motion. The give is to Freeman. Freeman pushing to the goal line. Michigan State thinks they stopped him, and they did. Riley Bullen, John Reschke, and D'Antonio's defense rises up in the shadow of their goalpost, and frustration for Helfrich.
And let's give Malik McDowell a lot of credit. Right, you'll see the push right here, number 4. And on 4th down and goal, that's what you want to see right there. Look at that. That is a 6'6", 275 defensive tackle pushing it into Freeman's face. And the play was so slow and developing because of the penetration by McDowell. Freeman did the best that he could to try to fight to get to the goal line. But McDowell and the linebackers cleaned it up. But the big fella deserves all the credit.
Man, he put Matt Haggerty on roller skates. Driven him to the other end of the field if he had time. What a play by McDowell, a guy they say that can take over and dominate games when he chooses to. He played his best game as a Spartan last week against Western Michigan. That might have been his best play as a Spartan.
Yeah. That's what these players know and these coaches know, that when their defensive line plays with a high motor, and I'm talking about Lawrence Thomas, number 8, Malik McDowell, 4, Joel Heath, Shalik Calhoun, who always plays with a high motor. When they're cranking, it is really tough for any opposing offensive line.
And Michigan State has every tight end on the roster in the game, and also a fullback. So it looks like they're going to try to blast it out of there. And you don't want to dance sideways too much down there and give up a couple. Rodney Prevost was there to knock down London before he could even get started. Now 3rd down. Both of these defenses have been able to answer the bell. Tremendous goal line stand by Michigan State, and after getting creased in the running game right out of the gate, Oregon's defense has played much better.
That time we saw McDowell make a play, and that time on 2nd down, another big defensive lineman, this time for Oregon. It was DeForest Buckner. He just blew up that play, and play never had really much of a chance at all.
3rd down, Cook needs 9. He also needs to get rid of it before he gets hit. He found security blanket, Josiah Price, a man who has a touchdown tonight, and this guy just has a knack for getting open. He does again. 1st down, Spartans.
Now they bring a late blitz from Rodney Hardrick right here, the middle linebacker, but the great protection, and as you said, he gets separation. He's kind of a sneaky, fast tight end. Got size at 6'4", 252 pounds, but I just think it's a familiarity and a comfort level that he has, whether it's in the red zone or on 3rd down and 5 to 8. 82 almost always is in range when Connor Cook is looking for a guy to make a play.
Now a little breathing room.
I'd be surprised to see him take a shot.
I wondered if they would out of their end zone a moment ago. Short pickup on 1st down as we check in the studio with Cassidy.
Yeah, Reese, let's take a look at who's getting it done, presented by Wells Fargo. And number 19, Oklahoma, and Baker Mayfield having a hard time getting anything done early against number 23, Tennessee. But Mayfield connects with Samaje Perine. This game in the 4th quarter with about 7 minutes to go. Oklahoma within a touchdown over on ESPN.
Cassidy, there was testiness leading up to this game from Eric Stryker's comments about the SEC, and Tennessee just desperate to snap that slide in which they've lost 27 of their last 28 against ranked opponents. There's a lot of stake in that game between the Volunteers and the Sooners. Oh, fly sweep to Shelton. Shelton quickly across the 15. He stopped at the 18. It'll bring up 3rd down. He'll need about 5. Vernon Adams couldn't get the Ducks in the end zone. And boy, he was so close on the one run. Stretched the ball toward the plane, stop. And Michigan State's defense built the wall. Now Connor Cook, who's hit 2 out of 3 on 3rd down and just converted a 3rd down from out of his own end zone, needs to get another. Cook standing in there. That was a bit of a dangerous throw. McGarrett Kings made the grab and he stretched the ball out. Terrific play by Tyree Robinson will stop the Spartans short. Michigan State will have to punt it.
Yeah, and Oregon did a better job that time of, again, you don't always have to come up with a sack, but just affect the timing between Connor Cook and his receivers. He actually was looking to the tight end, Josiah Price, again on 3rd down, but came off of him right away, and that's why he was a little bit late in throwing it out to his left. So good job by the Oregon defense to be able to get a stop and get the football back to their offense.
And Jake Hartbarger, his first punt was a beauty. It went 57 yards and also pinned Oregon deep. Braylon Addison is standing at his 30. Hartbarger unleashes another beauty that drives Addison back to the 25. Picked up a block, no flag, came now it does. Late flag for a block in the back on the initial helper for Braylon Addison. He got the return across the 42. But for all indications, that one's going to come back. A 53-yard punt, a 15-yard return, but we'll have to check on the laundry.
During the return, illegal block on the back, number 26 in the return team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That was Khalil Oliver. We got nabbed for the block in the back, so Helfrich's team will have to back up. 5.5 to go in the first half. Ducks down 7. And now it's time for tonight's Aflac trivia question. What two schools have had repeat Heisman Trophy winners? And by repeat, we mean different. Obviously, Archie Griffin, the only man to win back-to-back Heisman trophies. What we mean here, two schools that have gone back-to-back with the Heisman, but with different Heisman Trophy winners. Got a guess, Herbie?
Well, we were thinking.
We're working on it.
Yeah, between who has a bunch of Heismans, Notre Dame, USC, and I was thinking back to like Charles White and Marcus Allen, but I can't remember if they were back-to-back or not.
They were separated.
Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart.
Yeah, and then you get into that issue, and I would think the next logical guess would be Notre Dame in the early days, as Vernon Adams is firing for Dwayne Stanford. It's incomplete. Hey, Adams, if you didn't catch his story off the top of the broadcast, a graduate transfer from Eastern Washington, had a great career there where he threw for more than 10,000 yards and 110 touchdowns. Wanted to play on the big stage. Followed Marcus Mariota. Short completion on second down. Had to pass a math class that put him into camp a few days late. He did that to finish his requirements for his degree. Has picked up this offense quickly, and up to this point, here in Spartan Stadium, a raucous environment, he's done a terrific job.
He has. Now he needs to avoid mistake here in his own territory on third down.
Adams ducks under one pursuer and then gets rid of it at the end, and he has a man open. It's Addison. How about Vernon Adams? He threw the ball in his off hand.
He threw that left-handed. That was not a shovel pass like we saw Mariota do last year to Michigan State. This is a left-handed throw. I'm just going to throw it left-handed. I'm going to work with my right to keep you off, man. I'm just going to throw it out there with my left hand.
Of all the accolades I just gave Vernon Adams, who knew he was ambidextrous also.
Right.
Now Adams uses his right arm and tries to put in the seam, and he's picked off for the second time tonight. R.J. Williamson, and that one was ill-advised, and that is the mistake you were just talking about and needed to avoid.
Yeah. It makes the big play, the play that a lot of people are going to be talking about for a long time, and he comes right back, and he just stares his receiver down. They flood it to the right, and they're trying to catch the Michigan State defense napping, and he just underestimated or didn't see R.J. Williamson.
From our vantage point, Williamson saw him all the way, so Oregon has turned it over twice. The last time the Spartans forced a turnover, they cashed it in with a touchdown. 4:22 left in the half. Time now to answer the Aflac trivia question. What two schools have had repeat different Heisman Trophy winners? I was up here reciting and counting backwards, and all of a sudden it hit me. Army, but I thought it was USC, and if not for the Reggie Bush.
I can't believe you didn't have Yale.
I should have had Yale, because it's only the second and third Heisman trophies. We should have gotten that one.
Yeah, you know what? If we had more time, we'd be able to break down.
We'd had to count back. That's kind of what we were doing. Yale and Army are the two, as Connor Cook's pass is complete the verbiage.
This is part of the growth of Vernon Adams. Again, a staple in this offense, something we've seen a lot of, where they kind of pump fake right here to get the defense to come up, and instead of going here, they actually go there to try to get it thrown to the outside, and he ends up stepping up and just throwing it, not seeing the safety who just watched him the entire time.
Cook pulled it out of L.J. Scott's belly and then rifled a dart right into Burbage's midsection. As you see here, Adams, who had 2 picks. had 4 games at Eastern Washington with multiple interceptions. The Ducks got a little bit spoiled. They only threw 4 interceptions all of last year and threw a couple already in the first half tonight.
They were plus 23 last year in turnover margin, which was #1 in the country, and a big part of the reason that they enjoyed such a great run last year.
The Spartans with a 14-7 lead, an opportunity to stretch that advantage here late in the first half. Back to the ground, patiently running and getting the first down is L.J. Scott. They describe him as like a bull in a china shop. He's learning some of the nuances of pass pro and things of that nature, but he is a gifted runner.
He really is, and I think when you mix his power and size, and he's only going to get better with the left side of that offensive line, of course, by Jack Conklin, but that time we saw the fullback get involved, Pendleton, and also that third tight end, Paul Lang, who brings the physicality as well. When 83 comes into the game, you know they're looking to pop people in the mouth.
And when 37's in the game, there's 83 to pop you in the mouth. 37's going to cut you. So you better be using your hands legally. It's completely legal. He's a devastating blocker. That time he takes on the block up high, and L.J. Scott runs through a defender and picks up a couple before Arian Springs gets him on the ground.
Well, this is a different mindset. This is what Oregon knew coming into this game, was they're going to get challenged up front, and they feel good about, even though Eric Armstead is off to the NFL, first rounder from last year's team, because of the way they've recruited and developed, they feel as a group they've got a very good defensive line, and they feel they have some good linebackers. But this was going to be a litmus test to find out really how far they've come up front.
Cook on the move. Fires it into a tight window to McGarrett Kings, and there's a flag coming in as Chris Cisse was working on Kings.
He's grabbing onto his jersey, it looked like.
Cisse got a lot of time last year.
Pass interference. Defense number 12. Ball replaced in the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
And he get the first down. Cisse got a lot of time last year after Ifo Ekpe-Olomu was injured.
Yeah, here he is, just grabs onto the jersey. Easy call for the official. And I think, you know, we just talked about their front and their linebackers. I think they're pretty sound. I think the real area where they're going to get challenged, not just tonight, but this entire year, is going to be in the secondary. And I think especially it's going to be at corner.
And gave up 438 yards passing to Eastern Washington. Connor Cook going to try to get a big chunk here, but he threw it into traffic, and he is very fortunate, is Cook, that Reggie Daniels didn't come away with an interception.
Surprised Reggie Daniels didn't come down with that interception.
So now a 2nd down and 10, inside 2 minutes to go in the half. Stay tuned for the BMW halftime report with John Saunders, Mark May, and Mac Brown. They'll have scores and highlights from a busy Saturday in college football, including now it's finishing up between Tennessee and Oklahoma. That's a tight one. Notre Dame's thrilling victory at the end against Virginia. Of course, really difficult to see Malik Zaire go down, and he was off to such a great start. 2nd down and 10 after the near miss for Michigan State. Cook. This time it is intercepted. He tempted fate a couple of times. That might have been a miscommunication, and it's picked up by Ugo Amadi. And Ugo Amadi, the freshman from Nashville, Tennessee, was sitting there waiting, and he hauls in the interception. So the first turnover of the night for Michigan State.
Well, they drop 8 in coverage, and they like to do that because they feel that it makes you have to really be patient as a quarterback, and it gives you tight windows. Receivers out here, he's going to work to the inside, and this is where the corner sits, and he's just going to drop back in coverage with his eyes on the quarterback, and it looked like Kings goes down to the inside, and he might have when he was breaking down his route, you know, if you're a yard or two short or a little bit longer, you're not on the same page with the quarterback. And these are guys that have played together for 3 or 4 years. You would think that would not happen. Here's the eyes of Connor Cook reading and looking into that defense. One thing that he really has worked on this year is not being greedy. If it's not there because they're dropping 8 in coverage, don't be afraid to check it down to a running back or a tight end. That time he throws it. He and Kings not on the same page, and the Ducks get the ball back, still with 1:48 and the time to maybe get some points.
You know, this is a real momentum swing with this turnover because Oregon, which just had its 2nd turnover, now they get it back. They've got excellent field position, and Adams has some time maybe to pull this thing even before halftime. tunnel screen. Here's Byron Marshall. Haven't heard much from him tonight, and he doesn't get much. Maybe a yard. It'll be second down as we head toward the 90-second mark. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear's learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven, the official aerial provider of Saturday Night Football. Oregon with all 3 timeouts to work with. Vernon Adams, he checks it down. Freeman's got the edge. Freeman knocks off one man inside the 35, gets out of bounds and stops the clock. First down for the Ducks, 1:10 to play in the half. They're pick up a 17.
They're in tempo right now, Reese, but a great job. This is what we want to see from Vernon Adams, is coming off of his receivers, his primary receiver, and instead of just pulling it down and running, he just finds his check down. That's an example of that. Just get it out to the back in open space and let Freeman do some work.
Adams dancing around, and he danced too long. Knocked down and sacked. Lawrence Thomas was the first guy there. Got some help from Craig Evans.
And keep in mind, they have all 3 timeouts. Its defensive line is having their way up front. I mean, that's just men against boys. Craig Evans is a backup. He's a freshman out of Wisconsin. He goes right through Haggerty, the center. Again, the transfer from Notre Dame.
They're taking a lot of time for a team that loves to go quick. Adams pump fakes, and down he goes again. Damon Knox, also a reserve on the defensive line, and this time after the Ducks let a lot of time get away on that last snap. Now they call their first time out of the half, and 36 seconds to play.
Calhoun that time, he sniffed that out and completely took it away. Remember how big he is at 6'5". He goes up into the air and just threatened the quarterback Adams, and he just pulled it down. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. Vern Adams, not a great game in this first half, but other than the 2 interceptions, he's kept his team within striking distance. But Connor Cook, 11 of 15, a couple touchdowns. The ill-advised pass on the last time out where he threw the interception. This was a touchdown, of course, where Burbridge was able to extend and get into the end zone. But we're to that point in the game where these 2 quarterbacks and these 2 teams are kind of still just kind of trading blows back and forth.
So 36 seconds to go, a 3rd and 11. And don't forget, in this half, Michigan State had a 4th and goal stand at the 1-yard line. Oregon would already be even. Now they have 36 seconds to get something on the board.
Soft coverage on the inside receivers.
Adams bails out of there, throws it to the outside, incomplete, 4th and 11.
Well, they showed soft coverage, and then when the ball was snapped, they had 2 guys that were showing like they were blitzing off of the edge, and then they ran out instantly to the 2 inside receivers. Bayless, the tight end, on the one side to the right, and then you have Charles Nelson on the other side. It took them both away, and there's nowhere to go for Vernon Adams.
Half a minute to play in the first half, and now Michigan State is going to call a timeout. So 4th down and 11. Oregon trying to squeeze out just a little bit more and get some more points on the board before we go to halftime. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern on ESPN, Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer face off in the men's championship of the U.S. Open. These 2 longtime rivals going at it again. Federer 5-1 in U.S. Open championship. Djokovic has struggled, winning only once. Will this be the time for Novak Djokovic to get his 2nd U.S. Open? You can see it tomorrow on ESPN. What we're about to see here is a 4th and 11 for Oregon. 30 seconds to play. What do you expect to see from the Ducks?
I think Adams has had his most success when they have been able to get the football out of his hands quicker. And I think the guys that have been the go-to guys, mainly Charles Nelson. And I think the Michigan State defense is well aware of that. That's probably why Mark D'Antonio called the timeout. Keep an eye on number 6 and where he is lined up, because he's been by far the most productive receiver.
To be perfectly clear, 30 seconds to play in the half. Fortunately for us and all of you, we've got a whole second half of this coming. Vernon Adams on 4th and 11, going to take a shot. Got a man out there. Byron Marshall was very well covered on the outside by Deontay Copeland. And Michigan State comes up with another 4th down stop. What'd you think of the play?
It's a low percentage throw, but you have a quarterback that's been on your campus for 4 weeks. You just don't want to have a disastrous play. Byron Marshall frustrated. They put 3 receivers to the bottom, and they kept Marshall isolated against a freshman, Copeland. Copeland with him stride for stride. And I think Marshall's frustrated because he never really had a chance to make a play on the football.
Well, the Ducks are going to go to halftime. You would think Michigan State's going to run out the clock with only 7 points. The last 5 times they've gone to the half with 10 or fewer, they've lost. They're also 1-25 all time on the road against AP top 25.
When was the last time they went into a half with 7 points or less?
Last year?
Yeah,
I called. They're not going to let me come around anymore. It was the Arizona game that they lost.
I'm getting out of the booth. I'm out of here.
You know, Helfrich and I get along so well, too. He's going to stop letting me come to the games.
Exactly.
Entertaining first half. Michigan State with a 14-7 lead. Coming up, the BMW halftime report. Heather Cox will speak with head coach Mark Helfrich of the Ducks right after these messages. Welcome back to Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Wells Fargo. Just about set to start the 3rd quarter. Spartans Stadium in East Lansing. Top 10 matchup between Michigan State and Oregon. Reese Davis and Kirk Herbstreit here. Spartans with a 14-7 lead as we start the 3rd quarter. What's the biggest adjustment you expect to see in the second half?
Well, I think with Michigan State, I think they need to get back to still running the football. I mean, the first play of the game for them was a great run by London. Since then, it's been very quiet on the ground, and that's kind of who they are. It sets up the rest of their offense. And for Oregon, I think they got to get back to getting the ball out of their hands quickly from the quarterback Adams. When they got the ball out quicker and got the ball out to Nelson, I think that's where their offense was probably the most in rhythm.
Underway in the second half, and the Spartans will start on the 25. And Kirk, to your point, they had 91 yards rushing in the first half to Michigan State, but 62 of them came on that carry from Andre London. And here comes Connor Cook, who threw a couple of touchdowns in the first half.
I think sometimes you've got a quarterback that can make throws and make reads, and you trust. And I think you want to put the game into his hands. But at the same time, you've got a big, strong offensive line that you would think there's an advantage up there. I know coming into the game, they felt that they could establish the line of scrimmage and get their running game started. And when they do, that really sets up the rest of their offense, and especially that play-action game.
First snap of the second half, Spartans will go to the ground, and the first snap of the second half not nearly as successful from Andre London as the first snap of the first when he went 62.
And give Oregon's front a lot of credit. They gave up that big play, but since then they've really settled down up front, and they play that 3-4 where the defensive linemen are basically trying to eat up those offensive linemen, the double teams, and just freeing up the linebackers Walker and Hardrick and the safeties to come down, and they've held up at the point of attack, which is hard to do against that physical, experienced offensive line of Michigan State.
No gain on the last carry, so Connor Cook looking at 2nd and 10. He fires it, looking for Josiah Price, and some really tight coverage from Arian Springs makes it 3rd and 10.
Well, the fans thought it was a little bit too tight. He worked around the big tight end Price. He got there maybe a little bit early, but you know, the officials in that case, they're going to let them play. Both the receiver and the defensive back are in position to make a play on the ball, and they're both entitled to be able to get to the football. Just let that one go.
Keep the Hankies in the pocket. Shelton in motion now. Spartans need 10. Little stun up front. Michigan State picks it up well. Cook found a receiver, but not enough for the first down as McGarrett Kings made the grab, and Joe Walker knocked him down about a yard short.
But if they forced a punt here, Michigan State's probably going to punt, of course, in their own territory. That series was won on first down, first and second down. You get Michigan State, as good as Connor Cook is, you get him to third down and long, and he's got a new group of wide receivers, as we saw in the first half. They're still trying to work the kinks out here early in the year. They're not quite in rhythm the way we've seen him last year with Mumphrey and Lippett. So first and second down, they hold up against that physical run game to give themselves a shot.
Cook was under 50% completion percentage in the opener against Western Michigan. He's been better tonight, 12 of 17. Another good punt from Hartbarger. Braylon Addison looking for the edge. Addison's got some room, and he's got a blocker. Addison turning on the Jets inside the 30. High-stepping Addison into the end zone. Touchdown Ducks. 81 yards on the punt return. Monte Nicholson had a shot to get him and couldn't get him down.
Yep, that's exactly right. He makes the first guy at 9, Monte Nicholson, right there. A little move, and then the blocks that set it up. They set the wall up, and when you give the Oregon speed a chance to work in the open field, and then great effort right there by the outside linebacker, Prevost, to pick up a block.
Addison missed all of last season with a knee injury. He appears to be the picture of health.
You know, the kickoff returns he talked about last week, and now a punt return. Second week in a row, the special teams hurt him.
The kickoff returns against Michigan State last week. They had a 70-yarder that they allowed and a 100-yarder against Western Michigan, and now the 81-yard punt return for a touchdown, and the Ducks have made this their calling card. Their 33rd non-offensive touchdown since 2010. Nobody has had more. Extra point on the way. It is true, and not yet 2 minutes into the second half, and number 2 has made sure that we're all locked up. An electric 81-yard return and great blocking from Prevost and the athleticism to finish it 14-all in East Lansing. There's the National Championship Trophy presented by Dr. Pepper. It will be awarded to the winner of the College Football Championship, the College Football Playoff, January 11th. The title game in Glendale, Arizona. Semifinals being played in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas and the Orange Bowl in Miami on New Year's Eve. And both of these teams hope to be there. And Braylon Addison just had his 3rd punt return for a touchdown.
You know, Ducks fans back home in Eugene, Portland area are saying it is great to see Braylon Addison back playing for the Ducks after missing, as you said, the entire year last year.
R.J. Shelton takes a knee as we check in with Heather.
Reese, that was exactly how Coach D'Antonio didn't want the second half to start. I talked to him out of the locker room about what happened last year at Oregon. They had the lead. They let it slide. He said, yes, we addressed it in the locker room. The key is focus. He finished by saying, anticipate the difficult by managing the easy. That was his message to the team. Now, as for how they created confusion against Oregon's offense in the first half, he said the key was not letting their tempo get to us. Really lining up well, adjusting well, and playing fast, not losing containment and communicating. That's what they want to continue to do here in the second half.
Well, Heather, we've got a brand new game all locked up at 14 after that punt return, and Oregon has done a terrific job against the Michigan State running game. Just pure effort from L.J. Scott made it a positive game at only a yard or 2. Monday night, ESPN brings you double the NFL football. Eagles and Falcons, 6:55 Eastern time. Tirico and Gruden will be there as former Duck coach Chip Kelly leads Philadelphia in, and then the nightcap Vikings and 49ers, 10:15 Eastern. Monday night countdown at 5 Eastern on Monday.
I got the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and I got Sam Bradford as the NFL Comeback Player of the Year.
Wow. Sam Bradford, he can stay healthy, certainly has the skills out to the outside. This time it is not Price, but another tight end, Paul Lang, who makes the grab from Connor Cook.
I think all the jokers that are sitting around making fun of Chip Kelly for all the moves and all the craziness and wackiness. What's he doing this for? What's he doing that for? Let's let the season play out and see how it goes.
Here's Mark Helfrich, who had been on Chip Kelly's staff and taken over as the head coach of the Ducks and done a terrific job guiding Oregon to the national championship game a year ago. 25-4 and here on the road. Has his team tied with Michigan State at 14 and has his defense performing extraordinarily well.
Another
Connor Cook on third down.
They're only 1 of 6.
Cook fires the slant, and this time he'll get the first down. McGarrett Kings, who made a third down catch last time but came up short, moves the sticks.
Yeah. Again, the matchup on the outside is interesting the way it's going to play out, because Kings and Burbridge and Shelton have played a lot of football, but they haven't been the guy. And Michigan State, as this game is going on, they're trying to find out not only who's going to be the guy this year, but in this game. And it's a matchup against an inexperienced secondary. So you're going to win a few, and you're going to lose a few. That time they won one on a crucial third down.
Scott powers his way for 4. Let's check in the studio with Cassidy.
Thanks, Reese. Dr. Pepper Championship Drive update. Oklahoma and Tennessee lived up to the hype. In the second overtime, Baker Mayfield to Sterling Shepard. The Sooners win at 31-24. Tennessee suffers its largest blown lead at home in school history. Reese, Herbie, back to you.
Cassidy, that 14-point blown fourth quarter lead, that one's going to leave a mark.
Well, they were up big early at home. It looked like they might just pull away, but the Sooners showing some grit on the road early this season. That is a big win for Bob Stoops in Oklahoma.
On second down, Connor Cook goes back to the other side of the field, finds Kings again, another first down for the Spartans.
And that's where the experience comes into play. Once we get a view of this, but from the vantage point, you can see the defensive end, the outside linebacker, drop off, and so he comes back to his left. He wanted to throw the ball to the right. The outside linebacker took the throwing lane away, so he had to abort and come all the way back to his left. And instead of just giving up on the play, the recognition and awareness and understanding that he still had another receiver on the other side with soft coverage, he just flips it out there.
Connor Cook was not a highly recruited guy. He has developed into a terrific leader. Now with good protection and good time, and fires a strike and a good catch. Climbing the ladder is Aaron Burbridge.
That offensive line, known for their run blocking. Watch this pocket for Connor Cook. I mean, look at that. He is clean. Nobody gets close to him. And here's Burbridge again, this time going up in the air. He gets great separation. The ball a little bit late, but because he beat Spring so badly, plenty of time to go up and make a play on the football. Now, I'm sorry, Reese. Now you can go back to your bread and butter and run the power, run the physicality of that running game after you throw on the ball.
And here they come with a running game, but not much there. Boy, the Ducks not pleased with their overall defensive effort last week, but they've done a great job against the run.
They're building a fence with the 3 interior defensive linemen and the 2 outside linebackers, whether it's Coleman and Prevo on one side, and then you have French on the other. And then you have the 2 inside linebackers, Walker and Hardrick. They're just building a fence, and there's right now nowhere to go with the running game other than a couple plays. They're basically taking that part away and putting the game into the hands of the Michigan State passing game. See if Cook can deliver.
And Cook delivers to Burbridge again, a short gain just inside the 35. And there is defensive coordinator Don Pelham, who last week against Eastern Washington decided to go upstairs. He had spent some time down on the field last year after taking over for Nick Aliotti.
And he told us this week he was excited to come back and have a chance to play this Michigan State offense again. And by far one of the best dressed coordinators, not only in the Pac-12, but I would say in the entire country. And he came strong today. We had a shot at him. He brought his A game back to the Midwest.
Michigan State goes to a huddle. That might give us a chance to get that shot in. Connor Cook again well protected, but threw it behind and low Burbridge, so it's going to bring up a 4th down from the 34.
And when Connor Cook gets in trouble with all his experience, I want you to watch his feet. Watch his footwork. Right here, watch how you think he's going to step into the throw, and watch how he just kind of sits on his back foot. You can go ahead and roll this. See that? All that experience, and even a guy like Connor Cook, if you don't get your feet right, you're not going to throw the football very accurately.
So from the Oregon 34, little out of field goal range, D'Antonio's going to go for it on 4th and 6. Shelton in motion. Cook finds Burbridge, and Burbridge has it inside the 10. First down and 1st and goal for the Spartans.
Great read, and they slip behind the coverage. A well-designed play and perfectly timed. And Cook's trying to go tempo here to try to be in attack mode inside the 10.
They'll go to the ground. L.J. Scott. Scott looking for the corner. L.J. Scott, touchdown, Michigan State. That's the first touchdown of the freshman's career, and I dare say it will not be the last time he visits the end zone.
Mark D'Antonio electing to go for it on 4th and 6. The trust in Connor Cook. He delivers with a big pass play, and then they go hurry up and get it into the end zone. Michigan State definitely in attack mode. They regretted how conservative they got last year against Oregon as the game got away from them. This year they vowed not to do the same thing. And in a close game here in the second half, instead of being conservative, they got aggressive and decided to go for it there, and that's what set the touchdown up.
The 233-pound freshman rumbles to the corner. Now it's the Ducks' turn to answer.
Saturday Night Football presented by Wells Fargo. Brought to you by Chevrolet. Find new roads. Pacific Life. For life insurance, annuities, and investments, choose Pacific Life, the power to help you succeed. And Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper and college football. It's a one-of-a-kind tradition.
Aerial coverage tonight from East Lansing provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned making tires that go the distance inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven, the official aerial provider of Saturday Night Football. L.J. Scott just went into the end zone to put Michigan State back on top 21-14. Talented freshman back, teaming with Madre London. Now Oregon, whose last score came on an electrifying punt return. To see if they have anything in the kickoff return from Byron Marshall. Spartans have had trouble covering kicks and punts. Not so this time as they stop Marshall just before he gets to the 30-yard line. This week on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, the division-leading Kansas City Royals, they just about have the AL Central locked up, taking on the Baltimore Orioles, 8 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow night on ESPN and streaming live at home or on the go on Watch ESPN. We've just about had to punt on our teams, the Reds and the Braves this year, huh? We'll have to pick up other teams to watch down the stretch.
Reds almost got to Memorial Day.
Ducks go back to work. Keep it on the ground with Royce Freeman. Nice pickup on first down of 4.
I think the biggest difference I see from Oregon with Marcus Mariota and what we're seeing here in this football game is the threat of Mariota running the football. You know, they averaged 234 yards a game on the ground last year.
Back to the ground, it would be third down.
And it wasn't just Royce Freeman. It was the threat of Freeman going one way and Mariota going the other, because he could take it 80 on you. You don't have that big playability, and tonight they've only rushed for 50 yards. It puts a lot on the passing game.
Adams wanted to throw it this time, but he is caught, corralled, and knocked down before he gets to the first down marker. John Reschke leading the charge. Malik McDowell, who's had another good game, was in there.
And I think this is the area you're going to see him progress the most. And he's holding that hand. It's been dinged. That's the reason he's wearing that glove tonight. Let's see if Heather can get a look at that. That's something that's been bothering him. He decided to wear a glove tonight. See right away Mark Helfrich coming over to check on him.
Hurt his right index finger in the game last week. It's the first indication tonight that we've seen that it's bothering. Means calls for the fair catch, and he'll make it at about the 22.
The thing I was going to say is where you'll see him grow is he had a receiver open to the outside, and he came off him right away and put his head down and just kind of bored it. You can see the finger wrapped and definitely got dinged on that last play.
(21-14) the score. Here's what happened to Oregon quarterback Vernon Adams. He already had the injured finger, Herbie, and you see You see him letting go of the ball there.
You see the contacts right initially when the defender hit him, and the pain for him to let go of that football. He's lucky he landed on it.
Andre London gets the carry, and during the commercial break, Vernon Adams is over making sure he could grip the football. He threw a few passes. You see him talking with Jeff Lockie, the veteran backup for Oregon. Vernon's had a little bit of an up and down night. He certainly has some good moments, and also thrown a couple of interceptions.
When you're on campus for 4 weeks, you're talking to Jeff Lockie, a guy that's been in this system for a few years, and anything he can give you as far as wisdom and knowledge is something you constantly want to be able to talk to. It's almost like talking to another coach.
Spartans go back to the ground. London slips through the initial tackle to Madre. London running tough and up close to the first down marker.
Yeah, they put the big tight end Paul Lang behind that offensive line, so you're running behind the offensive line. But let's give London a lot of credit, because there wasn't a lot of room to run, and there hasn't been consistently tonight. But there's the leg drive. I think that's what has these coaches excited about him. Out of Fort Lauderdale, he's very strong. Doesn't necessarily have the breakaway speed, but his physicality, I think, fits in well with this offense and what they like to do.
Yeah, they have a history of guys who run tough. Le'Veon Bell's one that's here tonight. They've compared L.J. Scott to him. Connor Cook now going to go up top, throwing it to the outside. And Chris Cisse was there on the coverage. There is Le'Veon Bell.
He's become one of the best backs in the NFL. He left this program, and he went to a program in the NFL, but he couldn't have gone to a better fit. I mean, Michigan State and the Pittsburgh Steelers are about as similar as you're going to get.
Mindset, toughness.
Yeah.
Run some power. Run power, counter, slam it up in there, boys. Here we go. Now on 2nd down and 10. State spreads it out. Cook firing. That was dangerous. Tyson Coleman was jumping in there and got the deflection. Might be lucky for Michigan State he did.
So this is where, remember last time I said he came off, he read the linebacker who dropped into his passing lane, and he threw over here. This time he doesn't see it, maybe predetermines what he wants to do with the football. He's worried about the corner, but it's the linebacker right here that makes the play on the football. He's lucky that Coleman didn't hold on to that football, because he's walking to the end zone.
The 3rd down and 10. Prevost trying to turn the corner. Cook steps up, fires a dart on 3rd down, and Michigan State moves the chains.
Now he comes back on 3rd down and 10 where there's a lot of pressure. He gets pressure off the edge, but what is great is he steps up. He works into the pocket. See the edge? The pressure off the edge on both sides by Prevost and French. Steps up, makes a great throw.
Boy, McGarrett Kings has been his guy on 3rd down. Short gain on 1st down and bring up 2nd and long.
And Burbridge tonight with 8 receptions, over 100 yards, 101 yards. And as you said, King's kind of a go-to guy on 3rd down, 6 receptions.
And we have flags flying. Burbridge over 100 yards receiving. It's his 3rd career 100-yard game and 2nd this season. There's probably a substitution infraction. Let's see.
Illegal substitution. 12 men on the defense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
That's Michael Bolton from the Pac-12 crew who's on the field. It is a Big Ten replay booth tonight. Michigan State has yet to be penalized.
It's a good catch by the crew. They had 5 defensive backs in the game and 4 linebackers along with their 3 defensive linemen.
That'll help you slow down offenses. Sneak that extra guy
if you can get away with it.
Yeah. And they did not. And now Michael Bolton's coming over the replay booth, has buzzed down. Steve Newman is the replay official from the Big Ten. And he'll communicate with Bolton. And in the meantime, guys get a little refreshment, and the Duck also moving to the music that fans are being entertained by.
You count them right here. 12.
All right, so Bolton is making sure everything's square at the replay booth.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. There were 12 players in the defensive formation. The ball be placed at the 50-yard line.
Well, no disrespect to those guys who do a fine job, but Herbie counted them out just like that.
Boom.
Let's play on.
let's just keep going here.
Ball right in the middle of the field, sitting squarely on the 50-yard line. After that 5-yard penalty, 1st and 5.
You take a shot here?
Why not?
Haven't really been able to get downfield that much. They've hit some plays, but nothing where it's been thrown downfield.
No, stay on the ground instead and pick up a 1 or maybe 2 from London. And some unpleasantries at the end between Jamal Lyles and Tyree Robinson.
They have been wearing down Oregon, or at least attempting to do that. Remember, they didn't run the ball that well in the first half. We talked about coming out of the break at halftime. They had the one long run, but other than that, pretty much controlled by Oregon. But they went back to the chalkboard at halftime and probably looked at their numbers and said, guys, we've got a great line and some physical backs. We can't quite give up on being that pounding team.
They run it again. London inside the 40. It's another 1st down for Michigan State. Starting to see signs of fatigue.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the challenge. Watch the center here. Jack Allen, 66. A great block to open that up right into the middle of the Oregon defense. He works, not only pushes Balducci back, but also is able to climb up to a linebacker and chip up on him as well.
Well, Michigan State with a 7-point lead, headed down toward the 3.5-minute mark to play here in the 3rd quarter. Reese Davis, Kirk Herbstreit, and Heather Cox with you on a beautiful night in East Lansing. Cook down the middle. He's got his tight end Jamal Lyles for the catch, and Michigan State is threatening.
This is great timing and rhythm by the quarterback Cook with his tight end right here. He's going to sneak behind. And when you throw this, you got to get it over this linebacker right here, Rodney Hardrick. And he's up out of the way, so then it's the other linebacker who slides back, Joe Walker. But he does a good job of throwing that with enough velocity where he gets it over the linebacker, but in front of the safeties. There's a nice little pocket there, and he put it right in there.
Cook 20 of 28, 192 yards. He's thrown for a couple of scores. Michigan State at the 19-yard line, just in the red zone. Back to the ground. London picks up a couple, maybe 3. Elfridge exhorting his defense.
Did you see that? I mean, he lines up and he's about to snap the ball. And then he says, well, we're going to move over here. Then instead of taking the snap from his center, Jack Allen, he takes it from his brother, the left guard, Brian Allen. That was a little bit crazy.
A little bit tricky, a different way to go unbalanced,
yeah,
right?
It sure is.
And now they go again. They shift it again, and it gives them a lot of beef on the right side.
The tackle over on the right.
But they run it that way. Tried to cut it back, didn't work. Oregon was ready for it.
Getting a little bit cute there.
Christian French was the first guy. What do you think of this?
You know, it's a wrinkle. It gives the defense a little bit of a different look, but clearly it was not as effective there. It makes the offense, basically your left guard becomes your center, your left tackle becomes your left guard, and your tight end becomes your tackle on your left. And what happened there was the speed And the penetration from Oregon, they were not fooled at all by the numbers game. It's basically a tackle over where you get the strong side to the right, but they got in there pretty quickly.
So the result of all of that is that Connor Cook has to try to convert a 3rd and 10. Steps up in the pocket, floats in, and deflected, and then almost caught. Tyree Robinson deflected it. Josiah Price almost grabbed it, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, he put a little touch on this, and he's really fortunate. Who do we talk about who he locks in into the red zone? This is his guy. Look at that. Remember, Tyree Robinson is 6'4". Price is his guy, but he puts a little touch on that, and Robinson nearly came down with a big interception.
Now, the last time that Michael Geiger had a field goal attempt, it was not pretty. A 28-yarder he missed. This one from 36. Ball is on the way. And this time it is true, and Michigan State has pushed its lead to double figures. (24-14), 1:08 remaining to play here in the 3rd quarter, and now we'll see about Vernon Adams and how healthy that hand is. Let's take a look at this week's college football rankings, brought to you by Capital One. No real problem, though a little bit of a sleepwalking type effort for both number 1 and number 2. TCU putting up some points and Baylor's pulling away. But there are some other things. How far are you dropping Auburn in the top 10 this week after having to go to overtime against Jacksonville State?
I never really had Auburn up there to begin with after the way they looked last week against Louisville. But there are a couple teams that stood out to me. What Oklahoma did by getting down and then fighting back, that was really impressive. Ole Miss has been a machine in their first 2 weeks now against inferior opponents. Next week they go to Tuscaloosa, and we're going to find out a lot, not only about Ole Miss, but about Jake Coker in Alabama. We'll find out if Alabama's for real next week.
The defense can put some heat on you. Short kickoff, rolls around on the ground, and Bayless jumps on it just across the 20. Heather, what have you been able to find out on the sideline?
Well, Reese, during that entire series, Vernon Adams stayed by himself and was constantly testing that finger, flexing it, putting it into a fist, really never took the glove off, but really testing the mobility. And guys, what I find is interesting is I talked to our quarterback guru, George Whitfield, who said that you lose about 25% of your accuracy and velocity when you can't use that index finger because it's the last finger on the ball to release. Now, Kirk, I'm curious, do you agree with that? You played quarterback. What do you think about how much you lose with that hurt finger?
Tell George, I think it's about 28%. He's off on his calculations there completely.
Adams out to Braylon Addison completely.
Heather, he's right. I mean, it is the last finger. It's kind of the rudder. It's going to allow you to direct the football and give it the spin. And if it's hurting, now the thing that's interesting to me is his teammates don't really know him. They've never really been in war with him. Now they're starting to learn a lot more about him.
Freeman carries it across the 30.
Not just, okay, the XOs. Forget about that. This is the quarterback replacing Marcus Mariota. You need to show that you're a leader in this kind of setting, and that's what they're learning about him.
They desperately need a first down here, and they got it. Prior to this drive or series of downs, Oregon and its offense have been on the field only a little over a minute and a half in the 3rd quarter. Now, part of that was because they had an 81-yard punt return. They didn't need their offense on the field for that possession, but now they do. Down 10, just over a quarter left to play, the waning seconds of the 3rd quarter here for the Ducks. And we have a player down, and it's Damon Knox, Michigan State. And here's that time of possession. Oregon doesn't care about it, but it is instructive to see that Michigan State has held the ball the entire quarter, not let them do anything.
Yes, it is. But I think that Oregon's offense, again, we're learning about what Scott Frost has to work with right before our eyes, because it's just so different than what they've had in the past. And it's going to be, we're going to learn to see if this is an offense that has the ability to be balanced, because right now it doesn't feel that way.
Nelson trying to get the corner. Charles Nelson stays on his feet across the 35. Darian Harris able to help get him down, and along with a little help from Bullock. Final 10 seconds of the 3rd quarter. So Helfrich's team finds themselves down by double digits. We'll see if they get one more snap off here in the third quarter. And they do not. And we'll head to the fourth. Number 5 trying to hold on to a 10-point lead. That's the end of the third quarter here in East Lansing. Michigan State up 24-14. Back after this message and a word from your local station. Ready to start the fourth quarter in East Lansing, 24-14. Our score, Michigan State has the lead on Oregon as we continue with our Dr. Pepper Championship Drive game of the week. First meeting of top 10 teams this season. Hasn't been exactly what we expected, maybe a little more offense. We see the Ducks have lost their last 20 when entering the fourth quarter, trailing by 10 or more last time they won, 2004 against Wazoo. If Vernon Adams can rally him. Good start to the fourth quarter for the Ducks as Royce Freeman gets out across the 45.
Picked up a nice seal block, and Royce Freeman hasn't had a ton of room to work with. And I go back, we talked about it heading into the end of that third quarter. Without a true threat at that quarterback position as far as running the football, boy, it's going to put a lot on Royce Freeman this year in the running game.
Now Adams off play action down the middle. Braylon Addison makes the grab, and Addison's inside the 35, and Addison has taken it upon himself here in the second half of the Ducks.
And those linebackers from Michigan State, when they feel play action, they're coming downhill, and it opens up a nice vacancy behind them, and that ball was thrown a little wobbly, but he got it in there.
Oregon moved. Looked like the right guard came out.
Ball start, 78, offense, 5-yard penalty.
This ball is floating, and it's because of the pressure that he felt right into his face right there. They were closing in on him. The ball just kind of hung up there, but his receiver was so open because the linebackers had sunk in, and Addison easily goes up and makes the play there in front of Cox.
Addison picked up 21 on the completion. He had the 81-yard punt return earlier in the second half, and now the Ducks have to back up 5. Addison in motion. Give to Freeman. Nothing doing. Second and long coming.
You go back over what do you think, the last 7 years? You go back to Masoli and Dennis Dixon and Darren Thomas and, of course, Marcus Mariota. All those guys, one thing they all have in common was, as a defensive coordinator, you were aware of their creativity. You were aware of their ability to hurt you with their feet. And so it opened up a lot of different aspects of your entire running game.
Adams out in the flat, too high for Addison, who wisely chased it just in case they called it a backward pass. Third down coming.
And almost every defensive coordinator I've ever talked to about defending Oregon's offense, they all talk about that aspect as kind of the wild card. You know, you deal with the tempo, you deal with the spread, you deal with, they're going to stretch you out horizontally. The one thing they always talk about, and then you got to deal with the quarterback and his running. I just don't sense the same playmaking ability from Vernon Adams as far as a running quarterback and a threat in that area.
On third and long, they flip it out to Freeman in the flat, and he tries to navigate his way through a host of green, and he can't do it. He gets down to the 30. That's about 7 yards short of what they need for the first down.
That's Scott Frost and Mark Helfrich saying, let's pick up 7 or 8, maybe 9, and then let's give it a shot here on fourth down. You're down 10, you're getting into the fourth quarter. You're on the road. They're not trying to pick up the first down there. They're just trying to make this fourth down as manageable as possible. Remember, the quick pass has been his best throw.
In addition to the Duck streak, Adams has thrown multiple TDs in 27 straight games in his career here in Eastern Washington. Doesn't need a touchdown, just a first down on this one. Adams firing out for Addison, and it is a strike incomplete and a first down. A terrific throw from Vernon Adams.
Now that is an absolutely gutsy throw by Adams on fourth down. He gets it right over the corner that time. Hicks and in front of the safety. What a throw.
I beg your pardon, that was 9, not 2. That was Marshall who made the grab. At any rate, a huge play for the Ducks. Freeman noses down to the 2.
I mean, they got down in this area earlier in the game, and they struggled with what to go with. You know, with a play calling standpoint, you're thinking about Freeman's the guy to go with because of his power, but Michigan State held up very firm earlier in the game with a goal line stand.
Well, how big does that look about now? Adams going to keep it himself. Vernon Adams into the end zone. Touchdown, Oregon.
Good call. They follow the left guard, Matt Pearson, and the running back, Royce Freeman, and this time they come up with the touchdown.
And Herbie, you said that the Ducks would learn a lot about who their leader is. The fourth down strike to keep the drive alive to Byron Marshall, putting it beautifully between a couple of Spartan defenders and then running it in. They're finding out he's got some guts.
I mean, right in front of them, they're learning about, hey man, what do you think about three? What do you think about Vernon? Like right now, they're down there saying they're impressed. They're learning a lot about this guy. Again, cannot say it enough. He's been on the campus in Eugene, Oregon for 4 weeks. Imagine trying to digest this tempo offense in 4 weeks, and then you go on the road to East Lansing and play this defense. He's kept his team within striking distance.
Spartans and Ducks going right down to the end. We'll get things started next Saturday in Tuscaloosa. College game day headed to Alabama as the #2 Crimson Tide taking on Ole Miss. Rebels dropped 70 again today, 73 to be precise, against Fresno State. You think this will be a real good litmus test for Alabama, even as much as Ole Miss?
Even at home. You know, the Land Sharks come in there with a defense after the way that game went last year in Oxford, and it's going to be a fun one to watch.
Well, the Rebels have found some offense in the early going. L.J. Scott returning the kickoff. Scott still on his feet, shedding tacklers and getting up to the 35. Let's have a look at the last touchdown.
Yeah, this is the big fourth down. It's a long throw from the right hash all the way to the sideline, and he puts it right on the money to convert on fourth down, and then follows it up by following, like I said, the left guard Matt Pearson and his tailback Royce Freeman into the end zone. And the timing, remember, he went down, he left the game there for a second after that possession they had. He was holding his finger. Heather had the report about, you know, how he's been kind of by himself and feeling it to see if he could continue, and again showed some toughness and grit there on that drive.
Well, jet sweep, R.J. Shelton turning the corner. He's got tremendous speed. Dances out of bounds, gets in Oregon territory. I think they're going to mark him out at the 47, pickup of 18.
One of the first times tonight Oregon's got outflanked on the jet sweep. He cuts underneath. They actually didn't get outflanked. He actually just cut underneath Prevost and then picked up a nice seal block. But Prevost, who's had a pretty good football game tonight, he was in great position, but the quickness of Shelton, he gave him a little shake and got underneath him, and then he had a lot of room to work with.
Michigan State very quickly answers the touchdown by moving into Duck territory. On the ground, L.J. Scott gets close to first down yardage as we check in with Cassidy Hubbard.
Number 20 Boise State taking on BYU. Tannen Mangum, we've already seen he can heave it up there on last week's Hail Mary. How about an 84-yard TD pass to Mitchell Juergens? This game over on ESPN2, BYU with a 7-6 lead with about 5 to play in the first. Back to you, Reese.
Well, Cassidy, that 22-year-old freshman's had some moments in his first couple of games.
No doubt.
With BYU. Mark Scott just short of the first down on the last carry. He gets it this time and runs through another one. Scott inside the 20. Scott on his way. Will he get there? Touchdown, Michigan State. Freshman wrecking ball. Steamrolling his way through the Oregon defense. 3 plays, 65 yards. Took less than a minute and a half. And just like that, Michigan State is back on top by 10.
Now, you talked about him tonight, 235 pounds and runs very physical. Just a raw, true freshman out of Hubbard, Ohio. He bounces his back, great vision to recognize it, breaks through 2 arm tackles, and this is the thing that's impressive. That's a corner chasing him down, and he gets into the end zone.
Saturday Night Football, presented by Wells Fargo. Brought to you by Ford. We go further so you can. Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. And Wells Fargo. On your phone, online, on the go. Wells Fargo makes it easy to get banking done.
Aerial coverage tonight provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned, making tires that go the distance, inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven, the official aerial provider of Saturday Night Football. And that blimp couldn't be soaring any more than the spirit of the people on the banks of the Red Cedar tonight, as Michigan State just answered a gutsy Oregon touchdown drive with a quick strike 3-play explosion, mostly courtesy of L.J. Scott. And now the lead is 10 again. 10:51 to play. And now it's Oregon's turn. Fumble on the kickoff. Marshall picks it up. Tries to find a little running room and is able to make a little bit of chicken salad after bobbling that kickoff.
Let's go back to this touchdown. Watch the right guard here out of Centerville, Ohio, the Elk. Double team here, make a great block. And also right here, the right tackle. They're going to open this up. It's a double team into the inside, just imposing their will here. And look how he turns his back to the hole and makes this block. And then the vision right there from the freshman, L.J. Scott. And that's the thing, again, that's impressive. The speed to run away from Springs, the corner, and then into the end zone.
And now Vernon Adams has it back at his own 17-yard line. They give it on the inside, and there's some running room for Royce Freeman, and Freeman picks up close to 10. There's a Spartan injured on the play. I think that's Viante Copeland. Check on Copeland. We'll take another look at that touchdown run, Kirk.
There's that double team, and this is something you're going to be seeing a lot of in this young man's career here in East Lansing. Breaking tackles and getting into the end zone. And do we get a smile out of Dino? Do we get a smile? Almost a smirk.
Yeah, it's almost a grin. Somewhere between smirk and grin. Nothing to smile about here. We saw a young defensive back as D'Antonio is out checking on him. We saw he was in pain immediately. We'll check on his condition when you come back. The All-State Saturday Night Football bus has joined us here in East Lansing. Enter the All-State It's Good sweepstakes for a chance to win $100,000 plus a VIP trip to the All-State Sugar Bowl and the National Championship game, as well as weekly prizes throughout the season. Most pleased to report that Viante Copeland, the freshman defensive back from Michigan State, left the field under his own power. Tony Brooks James, the speedster, getting his first carry of the night. He gets close to the 35. It'll bring up second down.
Yeah, a little bit of a different gear, different feel from the freshman out of Gainesville, Florida, Brooks James. Definitely speed to complement what you see from the more powerful Freeman.
Back to the ground. Brooks James able to elude people with that speed and gets enough yardage for the first down, it appears. So good running by the youngster.
One thing about this Michigan State defense is whether you play linebacker or safety or even corner, these guys are coming up with bad intentions. They have been for the last however many years Mark D'Antonio has been here. They play with a chip on their shoulder defensively.
So the first down after the run from Brooks James. Vernon Adams escapes the reach of Shalit Calhoun. Adams going to keep it himself and picks up as much as he can before getting out of bounds. Stay tuned after the game, except on the West Coast, for your late local news over most of these ABC stations. And be sure to tune to ESPN for SportsCenter, the highlights of this college football Saturday and everything else going on in sports as well.
Looks like another Michigan State player down, holding that right leg. Well, there was a big-time hold here on the right side that Oregon got away with, and maybe the crowd saw that. Watch the right tackle here as the quarterback steps up.
And Kirk, that was Shalik Calhoun that was just escorted off the field after that, and he's walking very gingerly, a guy we really enjoyed visiting with the last couple of days.
Could be the spokesman for the athletes, the college football players out there. Well, second year in a row we had a chance to sit down with him. You just walk away, everybody just looks at each other like, seriously? I mean, that guy's amazing.
Two-time All Big Ten performer, and you know he desperately wants to get back in this game. Benoit's running back, he's blocking, and Nelson got a little bit tangled up. The coverage with Darian Harris, and the pass is incomplete. 3rd and 2 coming.
Try to take a shot here on 2nd and 2. Confidence that they can pick up the first down on 3rd and 2. Nelson looked like he was grabbed pretty good by Darian Harris, but a no call.
Benoit hit immediately and stopped short of the first down. The 4th down is coming.
Boy, Chris Fry right here does a really good job. Now nobody blocks him, but watch how quick he reacts to this. That is, of all the linebackers, he might be the most physical of the bunch out of Upper Arlington, Ohio. We've been saying Ohio a lot. Mark D'Antonio with Ohio roots. He goes down into Ohio and gets a lot of players.
Helfrich never wavered, leaving his offense on the field. Inside 9 minutes to play. 4th down and down 10. Adams. Oh, beautifully set up screen. If Bayless can get to the sticks, Fry closed quickly. And boy, he had just enough to get the first down. But again, an aggressive play from Fry and a good play by Bayless to get to the first down marker.
Yeah, a good effort to try to extend and get this. But I love the call here. You got a tight end and it's in blocking. And you just wait to the last second. The experience of Bayless there. You wait to the last second and then you just dump it off. Scott Frost waiting to the right time to make that call. Excellent call by Scott Frost. Let's see if he got enough.
Oh, he said he did, but the officials want to make sure in this very important. They stretch it out, and he did by half the football. First down, Ducks.
I was with you. It looked like, you know, he had it. But
the original spot, it looked like he was clear easily.
Yeah,
huh?
but a gutsy call there. Great execution with a quarterback that doesn't have a lot of experience in this offense, but waited just enough time, kind of baited that defense to come towards him, and then just threw it right over top of their head. Remember, he's about 5'9". It was a touch pass to get over their heads, and Lawrence.
Brooks James has it. Looking for room, slipping tackles, and a terrific pickup inside the 45. Maybe 7-8 yards. Let's give him 8 on the first down run.
We're seeing Brooks James now with Royce Freeman going in.
A lead back for the Ducks, and we've seen more from Brooks James. And this is the first time tonight we've mentioned that Vernon Adams isn't the tallest guy in the world, and that time he gets one swatted back at him by Lawrence Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas knocked that down, and you're down by 10. You're on the road. It's the second game of the season. You've got a quarterback that's been around for 4 weeks, and you lose your go-to guy, your bell cow, Royce Freeman, and now you've got a freshman and Tony Brooks James in there for him. It's a tough ask here.
Third and a really long one. Adams going to throw for it, going to take the shot, had a man out there and couldn't hook up with Nelson. It'll be 4th down, and they went for it on their own side of the 50. You know they're going for it here.
Yeah, aggressive call on 3rd down and short. I think, again, they have confidence that they can make it on 4th down, but the matchup is favorable. Demetrius Cox is a good player. He can play safety, he can play corner, but Nelson matched up one-on-one against anybody. You feel like he has a chance to win that battle. Why not take a shot there on 3rd and short?
Another opportunity for a 4th down conversion. And we see, again, we've seen this a couple of times tonight. D'Antonio and the Spartans using their timeouts to make the right defensive call. It worked on a goal line stand on a 4th and 1. Will it work on this 4th and 1? They're alive in Spartan Stadium. Michigan State holding a 10-point lead. Oregon facing a 4th and long 1 at the Michigan State 43. Ducks have put the bigger back, Hanai Benoit, in with Royce Freeman being checked out for an injury in the locker room. Adams keeps it. Adams stretching it. He stretched the ball across the yellow line, but the official is running in short of where that line was. We'll see where they put it down and how they mark it. They measured on the last 4th down attempt for the Ducks, and they made it by half a football. They're going to bring the chains out again.
Well, it looked like he extended and got it. Good job by the right guard, Cameron Hunt, who came around, picked that linebacker Cooper or Bulla up right there, and then he looks like, again, by our, they're gonna actually review the spot. But Hunt climbs up to the 2nd level, and our line's usually pretty reliable. He looks like he extended that ball across the line. You know, Oregon, it's not about time of possession for Oregon. It's about the number of plays. Oregon right now has 68 plays. Just doesn't feel like, you know, with Marcus Mariota and some of the other quarterbacks, the tempo is always a factor. Have you felt tonight Michigan State sitting there exhausted, looking over the sideline? What's the call? What's the call? I haven't felt that hardly at all tonight.
No, I haven't. I was going to say not one play this time did I feel like tempo influenced much.
My thing with Oregon is pace is obviously a factor. Deception with that pace is a factor. That's not been in play at all tonight.
Well, the replay crew, which is the Big Ten replay crew led by Steve Newman, taking a peek.
Determination by instant replay. We're going to measure to see if it's a 1st down or short of the line to gain.
One thing about that is we're all caught up on the football extending across the line. If the knee touched as he was coming down before he extended another half a yard, that could also be a big factor in whether or not he got the yards for the 1st down.
Yeah, where the ball was when the knee touched down, if it in fact did, would be the proper spot. Well, let's see what the chains say. The nose of that football on the yellow line. Kirk has always called it precise, unerring. But it's a few links short. Now Michigan State is celebrating. And Michael Batlin, the referee in the Pac-12.
The prior play is still under further review.
Oh, did you hear that?
Yeah,
The prior play is still under further review.
Yeah, they wanted to see what the result of the play was as ruled on the field. Now the replay official will see if they got the spot right to determine if they did indeed get the 1st down. So now Helfrich is pleading his case. Let's take a look at the spot here. They put it down at the
That's
42.
Tough to see.
It's tough to see.
Tough to see the knee.
And still the ball appeared to me, Kirk, even as the knee went down, to come straight down. I don't think he gained anything at all, like after the knee went down. I think the question is whether that Pac-12...
The ruling on the field stands. 1st down.
Okay, ruling on the field stands means there's not enough video evidence to overturn it. And it's the 3rd time tonight that the Ducks have had a possession ended by a loss of downs. Oregon just 2 for 5 on 4th down. That one and the one on the goal line in the 1st half really costly.
And I think they'll go back and they'll look at, you know, 3rd down and short, taking a shot. I'm personally okay with it, but as a coaching staff, you wonder if they'll go back and look at that and say, you know, why don't we just try to run it on 3rd down and run it again on 4th down to pick up the 1st down? But Oregon lives on the edge. That's just kind of their personality. So when it works out, everybody cheers them and tells them how great they are. And when it doesn't work out, you need to be understanding and accept that.
We were talking to Mark Helfrich this week and discussing how he would handle tempo and things with Vernon Adams, he almost said we want to be patient. He goes, well, I never want to say patient, but I guess methodical to a degree, or not panicked in mode. And
you wonder how fast they can go with a quarterback that's only been on campus there for the 3 or 4 weeks. I mean, Marcus Mariota, 3 or 4 years running this offense. It's very different when he's running tempo versus a guy who's still learning the offense even tonight.
And not having Royce Freeman there to try to pick up that short yardage certainly hurt as well. And L.J. Scott is starting to feel his oats here for Michigan State.
I think it's safe to say that right now it's tailback by committee. By the time the Big Ten play comes around for Michigan State, if L.J. Scott continues to understand the plays and understands pass protection, and that's probably the biggest obstacle for true freshmen in these offenses, learning pass protection. But it wouldn't shock, I think, any of us to see him just get more and more and more of an opportunity to maybe become the guy.
And Scott averaging 7.5 yards per carry tonight. Madre London's averaging nearly 7. It was London who had the big 62-yarder. Scott this time stopped in his tracks. It'll bring up 3rd down, and the Duck defense needs to get off the field and get the ball back to the O.
So over the last couple years with Connor Cook at quarterback, they've had Jeremy Langford back there who was a physical back and an explosive back, and really complemented what Cook in the passing game offered. And it put a lot of pressure on a defense with that balance of, are they going to run Langford and that powerful offensive line at us, or are they going to play action out of that and throw the ball? And I think L.J. Scott really fits that mold. You don't quite have the explosiveness of a Langford, but you have the physicality of trying to just pound on a defense and wear them out over 4 quarters.
On 3rd down, Connor Cook throws incomplete. Clock stops. 6 minutes and 21 seconds left, and Michigan State, you assume, will punt it away.
That's a big stop because it not only gets the ball back to Oregon, but the clock stopped, as you said, and they still have all 3 timeouts. And Oregon is thinking about this being a 2-possession game, and they still have an ability to strike quickly with this offense.
And don't forget, Braylon Addison, who is trotting on the field now to return this punt for Oregon, has already taken one to the house tonight, 81 yards. Michigan State in 2 games has allowed 2 long kickoff returns and a long punt return. See how the Spartan coverage team does this time. Addison lets it go over his head, and it'll come out to the 20 as we take a look at our Pacific Life game summary.
You go back throughout this football game, the big question was, how would Vern Adams play in his first real test on the road? There have been some good moments, and there have been some moments he would love to have back. That was an interception where R.J. Williamson made a play. For Michigan State, they've had some big play opportunities. Connor Cook has found his new favorite target this year in Burbridge for a big touchdown, and we're starting to see the big fella, A.J. Scott, put the Spartans back up by 10 points. A comfortable lead for now, but again, the Ducks and their system, they're never out of a football game.
And Royce Freeman is back in now for the Ducks at running back. Nelson in motion. Adams buying a little time and firing complete. It's Addison. Addison headed to Michigan State territory, and he's knocked down right at the 50-yard line.
And it gets, not only are they, it's not that they're not out of the game, it's because of the Michigan State defensive scheme. There's so much man-to-man. You make a completion and you shake one guy, there's room to run.
Adams, a lot of time, thought about taking a shot, pulls it down, gets what he can, gets about 5, and there's a flag that flew deep in the secondary.
If they end up calling pass interference on Michigan State, I'll be very surprised. But that's where the flag was thrown, right at R.J. Williamson.
Well, me too, because they ran.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, good call.
It could be a defensive hold.
He threw it right at him.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an offensive hold.
Yeah, it
was
could
right
be.
at R.J. Williamson.
Holding defense against an eligible receiver.
Yeah, that's
10 yards from the previous
I wasn't
spot.
saying, I guess, pass interference, but I guess, secondary, you get a little bit of a hold here. And if we have a tight look at this, I'll be shocked.
I was just messing with you anyway. I was just joking.
Oh, no, it's all good, man. Yeah, no, I was just glued to that. I just happened to be watching that one-on-one matchup. and I was shocked that all of a sudden I saw a flag come out. I didn't see any contact at all.
That was Michigan State's first penalty. And as the officials still confer, you can have a look.
To your left here. Maybe a little contact there. The flag's not out, though. It came out right there at the end. I don't know.
That's not much.
It's not much at all. But the Ducks will take it.
Yes, they will. First time tonight a penalty has gone against the Spartans. Ducks perhaps thinking about time. Adams fires to Nelson, who took a shot. Demetrius Cox laying the lumber.
It's a great job by Cox, who gave a cushion there. But how many times have we seen the ball thrown to Nelson and get with that soft cushion, anticipated it and lowered the boom?
Adams getting heat, dances away from it, now throwing, complete, slipping a tackle is Addison. Addison knocked down inside the 15-yard line. Yet another big play from Braylon Addison.
Well, there's the creativity from Vernon Adams. You know, this is almost backyard football. The play breaks down. He's just scrambling out to his right, trying to find an open man. Back to the ground. Freeman spinning. Stopped at the 11. It's good to see Royce Freeman back in the lineup. It's a guy that they can turn to, who's been in these kind of games, played in a national championship, played against Florida State.
This is the type of patience Helfrich can live with. 5 minutes, tunnel for Addison, shaking guy. Addison pushed out of bounds by Demetrius Cox, and the Ducks are threatening.
I love how he came to the football here. A little bit of a risk here by R.J. Williamson coming up and trying to make the play. Instead of sitting back, he comes to the ball. And by coming to the football, it gave him an angle to come back to the outside.
7 catches, $139 for Addison. Now back to the ground with Adams. He's trying to find his way, and he is twisted into a pretzel and loses a couple.
Remember, this has been tough sledding for Oregon. They scored the last time they got inside the 5-yard line, but it's not, again, they are not in. When Mariota would run this offense, the defense was on its heels. They're arguing with each other. Here, plenty of time to set up.
Adams making checks, and then the flags fly.
I think
Michigan State, a false start.
Looked like Michigan State moved as well. Both.
False start. 72 offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
It's the center, Matt Haggerty.
Haggerty must have moved the football just slightly. Yeah. Craig Evans from Michigan State reacted, jumped.
We got the call as the clock winds down to 4 minutes to play. 2nd and goal. Ducks down 10. Adams still has it, scrambling, and just gets rid of it, throws it into the second row, and there's another flag down. Players indicating it could be against the Spartans.
Well, you had a hold and you had hands in the face. So you could go either way. Michigan State had hands up into the face.
Personal foul, hands to the face, number 4 on the defense. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
It was Malik McDowell. You could have called that. You could have called holding on this guy that he's going up against.
Yeah.
Right in the bottom there.
Yeah.
There's a hold, there's a hand in the face.
And
which way do you want to go?
both guys had hands to the face.
Right. It's a gladiator pit down there.
So now on 1st and goal, headed to the corner, to the end zone. Royce Freeman, touchdown. And there's another flag that's maybe coming back for a hold.
Holding call, left tackle.
54 offense. 10-yard penalty.
Yeah, that's the reason he got to the edge, was because Tyler Johnstone was called for a holding. And I don't even think he really needed to do that. I think he still had it right here on the edge. Just locks up with Cooper. And if he doesn't do that, there is no way Cooper, as a defensive lineman, is going to be able to seal the edge and prevent Freeman from bouncing that and getting into the end zone.
So now it'll be 1st and goal from the 15 after the 10-yard holding walk-off. Adams, good protection.
Better run here.
Buying a little time. Still looking. Now firing it into traffic. That is not smart. And it pinballed around for a while before it finally hit the ground. Riley Bullitt was the first guy to get a hand on it, the Michigan State linebacker.
That time, interesting call by Michigan State, spying Adams. Nowhere for him to go. They used Reschke, the linebacker, to stay with him and keep him kind of in his sights, but great coverage downfield. Nowhere to go with the ball. He just took a chance and threw it into coverage. It was fortunate it wasn't intercepted.
And Nelson thought he had a shot at the deflection. Another opportunity. Adams steps up, avoids one-on-one coverage in the back, and it's Marshall for the touchdown. This is not terribly important at this moment, but that is a new NCAA record. 70 consecutive games with a touchdown pass for the Ducks.
Watch this. Both guys kind of pushing back and forth. Good no call. Marshall goes up and makes the play. Puts it up in the air. I'll tell you, one of the toughest things when you're a young quarterback in a new system, he's played some football, but in a different school, is the red zone. This red zone usually is attacking for Oregon. Right now, it's almost like they're just trying to feel what might work, and they just kind of threw that up and hoped that Marshall would make a play on it, and he did.
The extra point, very important. It makes it a 3-point game, 3:25 to go. Ducks have all 3 timeouts. So they've got plenty of time.
Well, I think scoring and scoring quickly was a big priority, and saving the timeouts was a really big thing for them to be able to do coming into this, because you put yourself now, you're back within 3. You're thinking about it from a defensive standpoint. Don Pelham, you're thinking about, okay, they're probably going to run the football. They're probably going to try to work clock. You've got the 3 timeouts left. If they do end up running the football, you got the 3 timeouts, and if you end up stopping them, now you just got to get into field goal range to give yourself a chance. But a great job of getting it into the end zone, obviously cutting into the lead, but saving those timeouts.
So with 3:25 to go here. Normal return unit on. Plenty of time to play defense, and while there have been moments when Michigan State has struck quickly, there have been other ones tonight when the Oregon defense has done a good job.
Again, you would think conventional wisdom would be Michigan State's going to run the football and work clock. And that's why those 3 timeouts for Oregon are so big.
And they do kick it away. Shelton's going to bring it out. R.J. Shelton knocked down to about the 23-yard line, and that's where the Spartans will put it in play with 3:19 left here in East Lansing. NFL season is underway. NFL Insiders and Sunday NFL Countdown, a new way to get coast-to-coast league coverage on Sunday morning. Start your day at 10 a.m. with the Insiders. Headlines, breaking news, everything you need, and then Countdown goes inside the storylines as only they can, starting on ESPN at 10 a.m.
Something to remember, again, the coaches from Michigan State openly admitting that they regretted last year in their trip to Eugene. When the game got close in the second half, they felt they got a bit too conservative. Let's keep that in mind to see if they go the conservative route here or they take a chance.
On the ground with London, and London is knocked down in the backfield. Christian Frentz and Joe Walker was back there. Stay tuned for the Ford wrap-up after the game with Cassidy Hubbard. And it's coming your way as soon as we finish here in East Lansing.
Christian French that time, and his Oregon defense, ears are pinned. Don Pelham has told his team, guys, we're going to go in here at this point, and we're anticipating run, and we're attacking the line of scrimmage with our outside linebackers and our linebackers downhill. And if you're Michigan State, you're working that play clock as much as you can.
Cook is going to try to take care of it, you would think, but whizzed it out of bounds looking for King. So now it's 3rd and 15, and Oregon didn't have to use a timeout.
That's right. So the loss on 1st and 10 sits them back where it's 2nd and 15. Mark D'Antonio and offensive coordinator Dave Warner decide to trust the quarterback, throw the football. And as you said, it's an incompletion. So now it's 3rd and 15. You don't have to burn a timeout if you're Oregon. And now you're Michigan State. You're thinking, do we just run a draw here? Do you run the football to keep the clock going and use it at least to maybe use one timeout here?
What would you do?
I would try to work the clock. I mean, I know you got a quarterback that's effective, but I would probably run the draw or the screen.
Instead, they're going to let Cook throw it. He went down the middle. He overshot Burbridge, and Oregon, that's as good a scenario as they could have ever hoped for. There's 2:27 left. They didn't burn a single timeout.
Now you're not thinking, hey, let's get into field goal range. Now you're thinking 2:27 with the way the offense executed on that last drive with 3 timeouts. That is going to be plenty of time for Vernon Adams to be put in this first time ever as a situation as an Oregon quarterback to have to come back and win the game on the last drive.
You've talked several times tonight about the Ducks having the opportunity to learn to trust Adams. I think they'll trust him if he can lead them to a score here. Hartbarger gets the punt away, and Michigan State better cover this punt carefully because Addison's been dynamite tonight. Braylon Addison to the 50s into Michigan State territory, and the Ducks have terrific field position. The crowd wanted a block in the back, but I tell you, I thought it was a bit of an acting job. I thought a good no call by the group.
Remember that feature this morning with Wojo on College Game Day about Vernon Adams, talking about all that he's been through with his transfer from Eastern Washington, deciding to come over to play for Oregon, and some of the reactions from some of the fans in that area, and then how tough it was for him. He had to deal with taking that test with math, and he finally passed, and he's just been on campus for 3 or 4 weeks. I think this is what he envisioned, being in these kind of games with these kind of scenarios and opportunities to play big-time college football, and he's got it in his 2nd game of his career.
Nelson in motion. Ducks have time to keep it on the ground. They've got Royce Freeman inside the 40-yard line, and Oregon with a big pickup on their first play and picking up a first down as we go to the 2-minute mark.
Yeah, they're not in quite the kind of fastball tempo you'd expect. That was outstanding patience there by Royce Freeman on that outside zone.
Freeman trying the middle. Picks up about 3. Royce Freeman's going to be up around 90 yards.
And again, you don't feel at this point Mark Helfrich telling Vernon Adams, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. You know, again, it's not the tempo that you're accustomed. It's fast, but it's not as fast as it can be.
90 seconds left in the game. Adams taking a shot. Marshall's out there. He was by himself, and if Adams could have put it on him, the Ducks would have had the lead.
Arjun Colhoun, who's a senior, out there by himself. This is Michigan State's defense. There's no safeties behind him. He stumbles, loses balance. Look at that. He's all alone. Byron Marshall had 5, maybe 8 yards of separation because Colhoun lost his footing, and Marshall pulled away. One-on-one coverage again.
3rd down and 7. Spartans bringing pressure from the outside. Adams in trouble. Adams tries to get away, and he does not. A sack. Lawrence Thomas was back there, and Chris Fry finished him off. Fry's made some big plays tonight. None bigger than that one.
Boy, that was a gutsy call by Harlan Barnett and Mike Tressel, the co-defensive coordinators. I'm sure Mark D'Antonio had something to say about that, too. Boy, they brought pressure. They showed pressure over here. I'll show you right here. They show it, but it drops, and then it comes from here, and even a corner brought the pressure as well. So confusing. The Oregon offensive line, he had open people. If he would have been able to just sit in there and just get rid of the ball as quickly as he can, or if he could have been able to get away and buy a little bit of time, he had some open receivers. But Michigan State lives on the edge themselves and how they coach defensively, and they brought the house.
We talked about identities right at the beginning of the game. While Michigan State's offense has certainly been prolific the last couple of years, they are still rooted in their defense, and right now their defense has made the biggest play of the game to this point. 4th sack of the night, leaving Oregon with a 4th and 16, trying to save a chance to stay in this game. 6th time the Ducks have gone for it on 4th down tonight. They're 2 for their previous 5.
Timeout, Michigan State.
You ever remember a game when you've seen
charge timeout.
this many defensive timeouts?
No.
I mean, and they've worked out well for Michigan State. Bit of a nail biter for the Spartan fans here who really wanted this one after the way last year's game ended against the Ducks, and they're trying to hang on here.
You think about that. They're at about the 33-yard line on that play, and you know it'd be a 50-yarder. But if somehow he's able to break away and just throw it away, you at least have a shot, right, at a field goal to try to tie the game up. Whereas now you go all the way back to where they are now, and I just think that. You know, with Mark Helfrich and Scott Frost, I don't think just a Hail Mary is the answer. Remember, the answer for them tonight has been, okay, who has single coverage? Who doesn't have a safety along with him in coverage? Find the corner that's one-on-one and go to that wide receiver. They've been going a lot to the bottom right down here. Let's see if they go that route again.
That's Byron Marshall down there. Those two hooked up to convert a big 4th down. Earlier in the second half, they kept the touchdown drive alive. 4th and 16. Adams stepping up. Adams firing. Short hops and incomplete. Spartans take over. Le'Veon Bell and the rest of the Spartan faithful delighted with another defensive stand.
Just an outstanding job by the Michigan State defense in these last 2 plays. They brought pressure on the previous play, and this time they rushed 3 and they dropped 8. They played man underneath and they dropped safeties, so he couldn't just throw up one of those one-on-one, just kind of jump balls. They took everything away down the field. He scrambled to try to create something. But the Michigan State coverage, before it was the pressure on 3rd down, and it's the coverage there on 4th down.
He had an opportunity to complete that ball to Addison.
Illegal substitution, defense, 12 players in formation, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Tell you something, though. I mean, it's a great football game.
No doubt.
How many games did you and I sit around? We watch games from noon Eastern till we'll probably see if we can dial in the LSU game tonight. We're junkies. We got problems, but we love it. I'm just telling you, I applaud these 2 programs for playing in this game, and this should not hurt Oregon for playing in this game, just like it shouldn't have hurt Michigan State when they went out to Eugene and played. They came this year, they come in with an inexperienced quarterback. You're playing a freshman tailback at times. This environment, and they give them a 31-28 game against a number 5 team in the country, and they got a chance to tie it or maybe win it late. If anything, Oregon's stock goes up, not down.
On the ground with Madre London. And think back to the first half. In addition to that 4th down stop, the goal line stand. 4th and goal. Michigan State stops Oregon right on the doorstep on the 1-yard line. It turned out to be the difference in the game.
There's just so many moments. They'll go back and look at this part of the football game, this part of the season, and be able to grow and learn. But I just cannot say enough again about Michigan State's going to win this game, and they found a way to do it. But considering what Vernon Adams was facing, learning the Oregon offense and replacing Marcus Mariota in 3 weeks, and to come into this environment and just to be able to execute the offense in general, let alone almost be able to pull off the upset, man, I think everybody should be tipping their cap to Vernon Adams.
No question about that. More than 300 yards passing for Adams as we take a look at today's AT&T strong performance. Connor Cook, L.J. Scott, Aaron Burbridge, all with terrific nights for Michigan State. Add a little Madre London into the mix as well, who's right at 100 yards rushing for the evening. And this balanced Michigan State offense has done enough, and London going to put a little exclamation point on it by picking up the first down. And now they can start the celebration officially.
These two teams over the last 4 or 5 years have proven they are legitimate powerhouse programs in college football. They really have. I mean, Michigan State and what they've done with Mark D'Antonio, in my opinion, and I don't go back to the 30s and 40s and 50s, but in my life, these are the two best seasons that Michigan State football, the last year and the year before in 13 when they beat Ohio State in the Big Ten Championship and went on to win the Rose Bowl against Stanford. Last year, the way they came back, ended up beating Baylor in their bowl game. And they've talked about they've only had 3 losses in the last 27 games, and one of the teams was the Oregon Ducks. They wanted to have a little payback, and they got the win.
We got a little taste of it today across college football. There's a feel that this is a topsy-turvy type season, with the exception of Ohio State, who seems to be a cut above the rest. You've seen some surprises. You've seen the Pac-12 and non-conference play not perform in terms of wins and losses as well as they would have hoped. But everything's still out in front of the Ducks. You go out, take care of business in the Pac-12, and I agree with you 100%. A 3-point loss to this team in this stadium, this team which I believe is really the only legitimate threat to Ohio State in the Big Ten right now. That's nothing at all to be a black mark on your resume.
Would you rather have played a couple FCS teams and blown them out by 40 or 50, or lose a game like this? I'm more impressed by losing a game like this.
And for some of these Spartans who agonized over that loss a year ago in Eugene when they let a second-half lead get away, a little bit of a cathartic feeling as the clock strikes 0. Mark D'Antonio, Mark Helfrich meeting at midfield after a terrific and entertaining football game that Michigan State pulls out 31-28. D'Antonio knows exactly who's beat him, and now he's avenged one of those recent losses. He's with Heather Cox.
Reese, thank you so much. Coach, your team motto this year, reach higher. How did they show you that they have bought in tonight?
Well, we just kept playing, I mean, great drive by our offense there, a little, in the third quarter, I guess, fourth quarter. But, defensively just kept playing. Things happen, I mean, it's a crazy game. I mean, Oregon's got a great football team, but hey, we rose up a little bit.
You talk about that defense, impressive all night, but no more impressive than they were on that 4th and 16 and that final Oregon drive. How did you neutralize Oregon's offense?
Neutralize them. We just kept playing, Vernon Adams, everything they say, can really move around. Great receivers. They make clutch plays down there. But our guys kept playing. Very, very proud of our football team and how they responded. Energy on the sideline. Awesome crowd. Awesome crowd. Come to Michigan State.
Very impressive, Coach, especially considering all week we've talked so much about the revenge and letting it slip away last year in Oregon. What did your team's identity prove tonight?
Well, like I said at halftime, we're just going to finish. They really didn't have anything to do with last year. I mean, we got great respect for Oregon and what they're all about, Coach Helfrich and their football team. But we just wanted to play hard and finish, and that's the bottom line. Just finish.
Indeed, you did. Big win, Coach. Congrats.
Green guys.
Mark D'Antonio gets the victory, and this is the type of win that Michigan State has become more accustomed to. But as they've lifted the profile of their program, you mentioned this to D'Antonio yesterday, they've been able to maintain that blue-collar mentality, that little bit of an edge, and the chip on their shoulder that they use remarkably effectively.
It's incredible to think about where Michigan State football was when Mark D'Antonio and his staff came and where they have been able to grow. And these last 3 years have been, as I said a little bit earlier, I think the best years in Michigan State football history, at least that I can recall. And I think when you have that success, it's easy to lose that chip. lose that blue-collar approach, but because of him, he won't let them. And this will be a win that they'll be able to look back at. You know, last year they regretted the loss to Oregon. They regretted the loss to Ohio State, the two teams that ended up playing the national title. This is a major hurdle for Michigan State to get over, and now they focus on the rest of non-conference play and then get ready for the Big Ten.
As far as Oregon, is the question answered now? The performance of Vernon Adams, you have to feel like after this tonight and the way he fought and scrapped and he wasn't 100% physically, that they feel as if they found their leader on offense.
Yeah, again, it's game 2. I think by game 5 and game 7 and game 9, it's going to become different. I think you can clearly see the skill set and why so many people have talked about him and what he brings to the offense. But just keep in mind while you're evaluating Vernon Adams, he's only been in Eugene for 4 weeks. He's doing the best that he can. He's getting in early to study the offense. He's leaving late. He's came in humble. His teammates really respect him. I expect him only to get better and better, and around him, the offense will continue to get better.
We saw some explosive receivers return to action tonight for Oregon, and as we said a moment ago, everything is still in front of the Ducks. This doesn't feel like one of those seasons that is going to roll through with a bunch of undefeated or one-loss teams. You may have some real chaos near the top of the standings once that time comes around. Heather Cox is down on the field with Connor Cook, the quarterback of the Spartans.
Indeed, and Connor just soaking it all up. Connor, yesterday we stood in your football offices. You looked me in the eye with laser point focus and you said this week is about revenge and it's about redemption. So how does this win vindicate you?
It feels so amazing. I mean, I can't even describe to you how it feels. I mean, ever since the loss last year, it's been, obviously we highlighted that on our schedule, but for me, personally, because I didn't really finish in the second half, I think there was throws I left on the table, like I told you guys, and plays that needed to be made last year that weren't made and we lost. Obviously, our first half was much better again this year, this time. Would have liked to execute more in the second half, but I mean, just talk about a team win. I mean, our defense played their asses off. Our O-line blocked their butts off. Our running backs ran so hard. I mean, I wasn't, pinpoint accurate the whole night, and receivers were making plays. But it was just such a team win. I mean, our defense came up so big in the end. I'm so freaking happy right now.
You talk about that last series. I couldn't imagine what it was like to be you standing on the sideline, powerless, as your defense is out there on 4th and 16. What was running through your mind and the belief that you saw in your defense?
I didn't watch the last play, but my head was just down. I was praying. I mean, credit to our defense. Our defense played their hearts out. Shalik, the whole D-line, the secondary, the interceptions they came up with. But, I mean, just a team win.
We'll let you enjoy it. Connor, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Reese.
All right, Heather. Connor walking right on the edge of that line. Right? And why not? This is an emotional young man who has really elevated his game many times because of perceived slights.
And you know what? Having a leader like that, Shalik Calhoun on the other side, even with this great win, they're going to keep things in perspective. They're not going to get too crazy, maybe a little bit tonight, but not too crazy as they get ready for the rest of their season. Because of leaders like that, it'll be easy for them to get locked back in.
As the song says, on the banks of the Red Cedar, there's a school that's known to all, and its specialty is winning, and the Spartans did play good ball. 31-28, Michigan State beats Oregon tonight in this Big Ten Pac-12 showdown. We are headed right now for a complete wrap-up of the day in college football. The Ford wrap-up show. Vernon Adams and the Ducks fought valiantly, came up 3 points short. 31-28 the final. Let's go to Cassidy Hubbard now in the Ford wrap-up.